Stampeders and the Toronto Argonauts, it's the CFL on CBC. Toronto Argonauts head coach Michael Clemens is a master motivator. In the last game, his Argonauts shocked the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, handing the Bombers their first loss, with Clifford Ivory and the Argo defense leading the way. Ivory scored for the fourth time this season, giving Toronto fans something to cheer about. But reality was at hand, the league looking to bail out the financially challenged Argonauts. Calgary head coach Jim Barker's problems are plain to see. Quarterback Marcus Crandall went down with a hamstring injury 1 week ago tonight against Montreal, sending in the untested Kevin Federick. And while he showed flashes, he was overwhelmed at times. Tonight, Pinball Clements and the Toronto Argonauts bounce into McMahon Stadium to meet Jim Barker and the Calgary Stampeders. It's the CFL on CBC. And it is a warm and windy afternoon here in Calgary. The last time these teams met was last November at Skydome in Toronto. Remember, a last-minute Prefontaine field goal gave the Toronto Argonauts a 33-32 win over Calgary. The Argos clinching a playoff position. Tailgate parties are great tradition in this city, and there will be a crowd of over 30,000 for this game today. We come inside McMahon down to the south part of the stadium and our studio for the CFL on CBC. With Sean Millington, Greg Frères, Darren Flutie. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Williams. Welcome to the CFL on CBC. Fellas, a couple of teams that are 2-3. They're better than their records. Now, the panel, the fellas, will have a lot to say about this game and also the position the Toronto Argonaut players find themselves in. Once again, the ownership problems of the Toronto Argonauts are front and center. They've been dominating the news. I spoke a short time ago with CFL Commissioner Tom Wright. We'll hear that interview in just a minute. But first, to provide some background, here is the CBC's Simon Dingley.
The Argos being risky, going deep.
It's third and very long financially for the Argonauts. Speculation suggests the franchise may be revoked as early as next week or even folded at season's end. The Boatmen simply aren't on many Torontonians' radar.
When was the last time you were at a Toronto Argonaut game?
Actually, I've never been to one.
Doesn't interest me. Sorry to say, but I'm more of an NFL fan.
That angers Lori Bursey, who's supported the team since her teens.
This is it's a collector's item, I think, with the old logo.
Bursey's the fan club president. She's been to more than 300 games.
I really would love to see more people come to the Skydome and support this team.
When Sherwood Schwartz bought the team, he promised, "I'm going to make Skydome the place to be." But fewer than 15,000 fans on average bother to attend Argo games. Perry Lefko has covered the club for 8 years. He calls the uncertainty a soap opera.
Basically, the owners stopped paying the bills. The leagues had to take over the team, pay the bills. That's taking money away from the other teams. They're crying out now for the franchise to be revoked.
Right now, I'm not thinking in those terms because I'm thinking in terms of making sure that we find the kind of ownership that's necessary to lead and build the team here in Toronto.
In a phone interview from New York, Sherwood Schwartz reiterated that talks are progressing to bring in new Canadian partners. Schwartz says he may have more to say about the Argos situation on Monday. Simon Dingley, CBC Sports, Toronto.
Thank you, Simon. As I mentioned, I spoke earlier with the CFL Commissioner, Tom Wright. Commissioner, this league is coming off a great Grey Cup. It's off to a great start this season. The product on the field has never been better. Yet once again, there's an off-field mess gnawing at the credibility of this league. I mean, this is not a new problem with the Toronto Argonauts. I'm wondering, why was it not dealt with in a strong manner prior to this season? Why has it been allowed to fester and now boil over, whereas it could have been settled prior to the start of the season?
Well, you know, Brian, that's a fair question, and I think we both know how infallible hindsight is, and And I guess with the benefit of the rearview mirror, we would have been better off if we had addressed this situation perhaps in January, February, or March. But the simple fact of the matter is that we didn't. We've been addressing this for the last 6-7 weeks, and have been working very hard to solve the situation here in Toronto. And it's one of those things, Brian, that it's not an easy fix. It's not a quick fix. I'm not interested in short-term solutions. I'm interested in long-term viable options, and that's the way we've been approaching it.
You have potential buyers. If I had the money and I was interested in buying the Toronto Argonauts, it seems to me I'd want to drive down the price. I'd want to get the league to a point of desperation where the other 8 teams are saying, hey, we're sick and tired of paying the bills for a team that's got a bigger payroll than we do. How close to that point of desperation is the Canadian Football League?
Well, I don't think we're at that point of desperation, Brian. The Canadian Football League, and you spoke to it at the top of the interview, is in a very, very strong place right now. The television numbers coming out of last year's Grey Cup were outstanding. The work that you have been doing, CBC, with Saturday Night Football, you've seen your numbers and you see how strong they are. Our research has shown how strong the league is across the country. Our fan base is very strong, and our sponsorship levels are high as well. So from a point of view of how the league is doing, we're not in a desperate situation. At the same time, we recognize how important it is. We have a responsibility to all of our member clubs to do what's right, what's responsible, and what's professional at this point in time, and that's really what we're trying to do. You could wait around and to, as you say, to drive the price down, but the point is that we're very bullish on our league, we're very bullish about the Toronto market, and we're very confident that we'll be able to bring an appropriate solution to here in Toronto.
Let's not kid anyone. Things are good with the Canadian Football League, but right now, the good or the credibility is disappearing with this Toronto problem. And what I'm getting at, if you can give me a short answer, is there's got to be a point when the other 8 teams, I've talked to a few teams that say we're sick and tired of paying the bills for the Toronto Argonauts when we see them as lavish big spenders. I mean, when do you get to that point?
Well, I think you get to that point when we've finished the work that we're doing now. And Brian, we know how important it is that we have some quick decisions being made here, and we're working towards that. But right now, there are options that we're looking at. There are options that we've been evaluating that we're trying very hard to complete. And I'm confident that in the very near future, we will be successful.
The CFL is already paying the bills for the Toronto Argonauts. People ask me, what are you waiting for? I mean, is there a point when you can legally take this team away from Sherwood Schwartz without having to indemnify him? What is the delay?
Well, the delay is, as I said earlier, Brian, we're making sure that we conclude the homework that we've done and make sure that the work that has been worked very hard at for the last 6-7 weeks has a chance to come to fruition, and that's really what we're trying to do. Will there come a point that we have the ability to do the kinds of things you're talking about? Yes, but at the same time, I'm trying to make sure that we conclude the negotiations that are currently underway.
A couple of very quick questions. Is there any chance in your mind the Toronto Argonauts will not finish the season?
I have been asked this question before, and I'm steadfast in terms of how I answer it, Brian. I'm going to do everything in my power to ensure, as the commissioner, that the Toronto Argonauts not only complete the season, but they complete the 2004 and 2005 season. And that's my responsibility, and that's what I'm going to work towards doing.
Have any players been asked to take salary cuts? We're going to talk about this with the guys in the studio here. They were in Vancouver. Have any players been asked to take salary cuts, or do you see that happening?
Well, you'd have to ask the Toronto Argonauts if that's been done. I certainly, in my role as commissioner, have not done that. You're correct in assuming and stating that it has been done in the past, but you'd have to ask the Argonaut personnel, Brian, on that specifically.
Realistically, I know you can't give us an exact date, but are we going to be talking about this 1 week from now, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, or is it going to be settled in the near future?
I think your time frame is pretty accurate, Brian, but I'm not going to try to put any artificial timelines on things. But within the time frames that you've spoken is probably when you'll see some definitive action.
CFL Commissioner Tom Wright, thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Have a great day.
And again, that was taped earlier back live in Calgary. In fairness to the commissioner, he only took office last winter. Michael Federick, the owner of the Stampeders, told me here yesterday, you're darn right it shouldn't have gone on this long. It should have been settled earlier. But he said, all of us are to blame. Some reaction from the panel here on the situation in Toronto and the players. Sean Millington, let's begin with you.
Well, I have to say, we experienced this exact same, or actually I experienced this exact same sort of situation in BC in '92 when we had an ownership controversy. And contrary to what players will tell you, they'll get in front of the camera and say the politically correct thing, but this really does affect you. I remember getting my paycheck, taking it straight from the office and going to the bank and cashing it immediately just so that I could be sure that I got paid. You're worrying about your job. The media is putting a lot of emphasis on an issue of this nature, and so you're spending a lot of time thinking about the externals to the business when you should be thinking about the game and how you're going to play that week.
Well, you know what, it's interesting. He's the ultimate politician right there. You asked him what the timeline was, and that's my point, is that this needs to happen sooner than later. He said, is it going to be 1, 2, 3 weeks, and came back and said, yeah, that's roughly the time frame. Didn't really give us an answer. But here's a situation where these, as you're trying to make this one team, Toronto, viable, are you putting 6, 7 other teams, because they're footing the bill for Toronto right now. You have to understand that. Are you making these other 6, 7 teams now placing them in a position of jeopardy? And so this needs to happen soon. I know he wants to do it right, and I respect him for that, but at the same time, he needs to do it soon.
Well, my view as a former football player when I was on that team with Sean in '92, the whole Murray Pesem deal, is that I've never been in a situation, say in Edmonton in 1996 and 97, we were getting 35, 40,000 people at the football games, where ownership came up to me and said, you know what, we're getting more fans than I thought we'd have. You're going to get $20,000 more dollars this year. But when it goes the other way, you're the first one to take the pay cut. So that's kind of a player's point of view.
But I know it upsets all of you with a product on the field so good that this is the story we're dealing with 6 games into the season. It should have been dealt with earlier and settled, right?
Yeah, and it's too bad because it kind of becomes amplified. It's a situation where this is only a 9-team league. This happens for the Ottawa Senators in the NHL. It happens for in the NFL with the Baltimore teams, the LA teams, the Houston teams. They're not void from that, and it's just kind of amplified, and it's too bad because this is some great football this year.
Well, all right, exactly. I mean, we're all very bullish on the CFL, as you know here. And we have a good reason to be. We've got a great product. We're getting great numbers. We shouldn't have to be dealing with this at this point in time.
All right, we'll deal with football from now on. And speaking of dealing with football, the stairs are clear. Chris Walby has the day off, so you're leaving. Good to work with you. Darren will be doing color with Mark Lee in this game. So as you sprint upstairs, let's go out in the field and join Michelle Godbout.
We're here with Damon Allen, the starting quarterback for tonight's game. Damon, let's start off with the problems with the outside the field with the Argonauts. You've seen this before. How does it affect the player?
I don't think it affects our football team, and our head coach has prepared us and understanding and giving us an understanding of the situation. What we have to do today is really just come out here and play the game of football and not worry about the off-field situation. It's important for us to come out here and play as a football team and play very well in all 3 aspects and come out victorious.
Now let's talk about football. You're coming out of a hand injury. How will that affect you tonight going up against a tough Calgary defense?
I don't think it will affect me that much, but who knows? It's a matter of, I feel very comfortable about starting and feeling I can play the game, and so that's really is what it's all about. And I have to go out there and execute and help our football team win.
Dave Allen, thanks a lot. Good luck tonight.
You're welcome.
There you go, Damon Allen, and he's all revved up to go tonight. So, Brian, back to you.
He may be revved up, but he says the hand feels fine. Pinball Clemens says the big test will come when he takes his first hit. The panel will break down the game, and we've got football across Canada. Stay with us. It's the CFL on CBC. On this Saturday afternoon, a look at the Bull River in downtown Calgary. Beautiful area to jog and walk, great parks. We move north and west out here to McMahon Stadium, where the Stampeders are preparing to host the Toronto Argonauts. Grunting, groaning, and sweating, that's all part of pro football. Here in Calgary, it seems the ladies want in on the act. With more on football across Canada, here's Doug Dirks.
One, two.
Right! Okay, let's do it.
Go. Set. Rubber.
I used to play a lot of sports growing up and missed the camaraderie of being with the team and getting away.
Tara McNeil grew up playing softball. 6 years ago, she switched to touch football.
A friend had said, "Do you want to try football?" I said, "Sure." Had nothing to do with the husband, I swear.
Here, let me help you. There you go.
Tara's husband is Jay McNeil. He's an offensive lineman with the Calgary Stampeders.
She gets as nervous before her games as I do before my games.
Tara takes her games just as seriously as her husband. She's a quarterback for the Marauders, one of 8 teams in this all-women's league.
He doesn't quite understand why I get riled up because he thinks it's recreation. So he's like, "For Pete's sake, chill out." But, it's just fine. It's fine. My job's a job.
If she has a bad game, she gets pretty upset about it. So, I try to calm her down a little bit, but, that's good that, she's got some competitive and she's got fire. So it's fun to see.
But Jay doesn't actually get to see much of Tara's games. When he isn't busy entertaining their 7-month-old son, Jay likes to hang out with Fred Childress, one of his teammates on the Stampeders. Fred's wife joined the Marauders at the beginning of this season. Raising a young family and playing sports can create challenges, but like any good team, they find a way to make it work.
It's a lot of time involved, but we work our way around it. When she got things to do, I can take care of them. When I have things to do, she can take care of them,
And I just love it. I just love the intensity level and everything. If it was tackle, it'd be great too, but it's not, so I'm good. It's just football. I love football.
Sue Childress isn't playing tackle football yet, but she's already in dress rehearsals for next season. A group of Calgary women are making a bid to join the Montreal Blitz in the Independent Women's Football League. For Football Across Canada, I'm Doug Dirks.
You lived here in Calgary. Lisa, take part in that?
Oh, I'm sure she would have loved to, but she didn't participate in that. Go watch out for those girls. That hurt you.
Listen, I should tell the viewers, Sean Millington's getting married in a couple of weeks. Is this for Christine part of the marriage prep course?
You're darn right. Better believe it. Honey, you better get out there and get your butt in gear.
All right. Speaking of getting in gear, let's talk about the quarterbacks in tonight's game. Quarterbacking, always an interesting story. Let's begin with the Toronto Argonauts and a fellow you know very well.
This league has seen some amazing quarterbacks, but none better than Damon Allen. This guy is 362 yards away from 60,000 yards career passing.
Thanks.
That's unbelievable. Just to give you some perspective, that's 55 kilometers or 545 football fields end to end. And not only has he done that, he's got over 10,000 yards rushing. This guy is a legend.
Big concern today, though, is when he takes that first hit on his hand. Now, he's a legend. Who's backing him up? But who's backing up the legend? Is it Brady or is it Bishop?
Well, exactly. That's a very interesting story. We had Mike Pinball Clemmons telling us that for sure Bishop is going to get in the game. We'd have automatically thought it was going to be Brady who's going to be the backup. He played against Winnipeg last week and managed to lead them to victory. We're going to have to see who comes on the field this week.
Greg, let's talk about the Calgary quarterbacking. Crandall injured in the game we did last week. It'll be Kevin Federick starting with Milanovic the backup.
Well, it's a situation where Calgary, again, needs to reestablish or establish who the quarterback is going to be for this football team. And, and kind of put it into perspective. Kevin did a good job. His 2 quarters that he played, he threw for 231 yards. He was 18 for 23. It was a situation where he's got 72% in regards to completion percentage. So, he's doing a good job. You look at a guy like Brady for Toronto came in and beat Winnipeg. He's only throwing 33%. And so Kevin is doing a good job. Doesn't necessarily look real graceful doing it or have that real strong arm, but he's being productive.
We all talk about the pressure. We've talked about it for weeks. Jim Barker, the coach, is under with Federick, the owner, and Federick, the son, playing quarterback. You can reverse that, though, can't you?
Yeah. Well, that situation, it's not a position that I would want to be in. All of a sudden, you're, under the microscope because your father is the owner of this team that you're trying to lead and quarterback, and he's handling it pretty well. He's a soft-spoken guy, but you know what? He's doing a good job.
If anything, I'd have to say he's under more pressure. Everybody's asking questions. How's Federick playing? Did he really earn that position? When Brady went in and won the game last week, nobody was sitting there questioning his stats. When Federick won the game a couple of weeks back, everybody was all over it. So he's really under the microscope here.
Let me take a look. Is Flutie made it up those stairs? Mark Lee is, Chris Walbeaver just joining us has a day off. Mark Lee, Flutie make it up there?
Ryan, it's a just-in-time arrival, as they say in the business world these days, although he got here with a Walby-like pregame sweat. So, He's all set to go, and welcome to the broadcast booth, Darren.
Thank you, Mark. It's a pleasure. It was tough getting up here, but I'm glad I'm here.
Let's talk about the Argo secondary. They lead the CFL in interceptions with 9. Their game plan tonight is to try to confuse the backup quarterback for Calgary, making his second start, Kevin Federick, with different looks, and they did it 1 week ago against a veteran in Kahari Jones with 5 picks against him in the Bombers.
Toronto has an experienced secondary. You look at Orlando Steinhauer, who had 2 interceptions last week. Adrian Smith had 2 interceptions last week. But the big story to me is Clifford Ivory. He's turned into the playmaker in the Toronto secondary. As it was mentioned with the panel, he leads the team in touchdowns as a defensive back with 4 touchdowns. 2 of them off interceptions, and 2 of them off fumble recoveries. Now, this is a kid that when first came into the league to Hamilton, you were begging to go against this guy. I mean, he couldn't cover his own shadow. But now he's turned to the playmaker, and it's just amazing his development.
He has been hot. Ivory and the Argo secondary will be facing a challenge against this redesigned Calgary receiving corps, a receiving corps that riddled the Montreal secondary 1 week ago.
Yeah, Calgary's receivers, they lost Travis Moore in the offseason, which on the surface was a big blow. But this year, now they have Wayne McGarity, they have Albert Connell, and Don Blair, who's playing very consistent football. But the big one is McDonald. He's turned into a great receiver. He had 11 catches last week for over 200 yards against Montreal. And to me, he reminds me of one of the greatest receiver in CFL history, Alan Pitts, who wore the same uniform. He's big, he uses his size to his advantage, he can make the tough catch, and he's got nice soft hands.
Now, Jim Barker raised some eyebrows when he got rid of Travis Moore, but it's fair to say he's got 3 young prospects for the price of 1, Brian. As we throw it back down to you, maybe you could send us some towels or something, because he's really sweating.
No, listen, it's air conditioned down here. We told him not to leave, but, you know, as Frere said, we finally got rid of him, let him sweat up there. Stay with us. Stay with us. The CFL on CBC will continue right after this. Back live here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary as we prepare for the Calgary Stampeders and the Toronto Argonauts. Special teams, an interesting story in this game. Calgary gave up a ton of yards, a ton of points on their special teams in Montreal last week. Greg, talk about that.
Well, it was probably a difference in the ball game. It was 14 points, a situation where they were getting a ton of pressure on Duncan O'Mahony on their punt team. Baron Miles was flying through. He had pressures probably about 2 or 3 times, blocked 1 for a touchdown. Keith Stokes ran 1 back for 115 yards, a missed field goal. Here we got Baron Miles with his block. Nice bounce right back into his hands, but this guy is making plays. Clifford Ivory we're going to see tonight. Gerald Vaughn, these guys know how to be able to block that kick, and they got to be shoring things up on that punt team.
All right, I think we've lost a light in here, but it's a little cooler. Let's talk about the special teams for the Toronto Argonauts. They get a pretty good player in special teams.
They have a great player in Brashear Livingston. I mean, this guy is doing some incredible things. He has a 60-yard kickoff return. He also had a 72-yard punt return. This is one of the main threats that we're going to see for Toronto. Right here, I think here we go. Here's that kickoff return I was talking about. I mean, he makes the guys in Hamilton look foolish on this play. We also have the linebacker who's leading the special teams, 13 special teams tackles. I mean, that's pretty good. Yeah, Levin, that's right. Yeah. I was forgetting his name.
Yeah. You know, we talk so much about offense in this league. Let's talk defense. Both these teams, the defenses have really been carrying the teams, and both these teams, and we'll begin with you, Greg, have outstanding defensive coordinators.
Yeah, Rick Stubler and Jim Daly, 2 guys. I mean, the last 2 weeks we've been trying to figure out what Don Matthews has been doing. The story in the CFL is usually, you know, the offense is an offensive league, and you know, and it is, and it's very exciting. But at the same time, we're having some amazing defensive football happening at the beginning of this season. Rick Stubler is an individual that is showing a number of different looks. I talked to Jim Barker, and he's saying, you know what, Toronto does things that we're not used to seeing. And one of those things that he does is he brings a 30 front. So they have 3 down linemen. Wayne Weathers kind of floats around, becomes the next defensive lineman. It shows a lot of different looks. But the main thing is they brought in was match defense. And this is something you got to watch for, is that it's kind of a man coverage / zone coverage. It's really difficult for the receivers to figure out whether it's man or zone. The quarterback, it slows down their reads. I think that interesting thing is that Jim Daly's having a lot of success in Calgary running the very same defense.
Sean, the Argonauts have got some injuries with their star receivers, but very quickly there's one fella that stepped up and done the job.
Exactly. We had Loud Knight last week. He stepped up with 4 receptions, 177 yards in the victory of Toronto over Winnipeg, and that was a real big game for those guys. I mean, they're missing Daryl Mitchell, they're missing Jimmy Oliver, they're missing AJ Alfred Jackson. We would think that we wouldn't see a lot of yards from passing from this team, but a lot of the guys, Tony Miles, they're stepping up and really filling in the gap. I mean, hey, that's great play right there.
As I said at the top of the show, both are 2-3. Both these teams are better than those 2-3 records. We'll step aside. We'll come back. It's the Calgary Stampeders and the Toronto Argonauts. You're watching the CFL on CBC as here come the Stampeders at McMahon Stadium. On a Saturday here in the Stampede City. Hang on, we're all set to go. It's the CFL on CBC. In their last game, Coach Pinball Clemens inspired the undermanned Argonauts to an upset win over the previously unbeaten Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Clifford Ivory turned the defense into offense as the Argonauts set sail for their second win. Calgary head coach Jim Barker saw his Charges start well against Montreal last Saturday with a couple of first-quarter touchdowns. Then quarterback Marcus Crandall went down, replaced by Kevin Federick, who yearns to win over the Stampeder faithful. It has been a warm and windy afternoon here in Calgary, but as you look at the left of your screen, that's to the northwest. That means the skies are darkening here at McMahon Stadium, and we could have thunderstorms within about 10 or 15 minutes. And we're all set for football with the afternoon already upon us, or the evening upon us here in Calgary. We're set for football. Sean Millington, Greg Frères will be back at halftime. Chris Walby has the afternoon off. I think now we're set to go up to the booth. Walby having the afternoon off. That means Darren Flutie is working with Mark Lee. Mark?
Thanks a lot, Brian. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone across the country. Well, some changes and question marks, Darren, at quarterback for both teams tonight. Let's start with Toronto. Damon Allen, the veteran, making his return after missing one game with a deep bruise on his throwing hand. There's some concerns about the injury and how it'll hold up today, but no concern about how he's been playing this season.
No, he's had two 400-yard passing games, and he's got a completion percentage of 65%. Health is certainly an issue, but yet Pinball brought up a great point yesterday that I never thought about. He was comparing him to Doug Flutie. And I thought that was very interesting, knowing Doug pretty well myself. They're both a little up there in age, yet they have that passion for the game. They come out to practice excited. And that's something, when you're playing with 20-year-old kids that are half your age, it's hard to do. Believe me, I've been in that locker room with those young kids. And to keep that excitement level, that's very important.
On the other hand, about the young man, Kevin Federick, the backup replacing the injured Marcus Crandall at the helm for Calgary. He's the owner's son, and he's been under a lot of pressure in this city to prove himself.
Well, Kevin Federick, now he's the complete opposite of Damon Allen. He lacks experience. Since his 4 years out of BYU, he really hasn't played much football between injuries and in backup roles. So now he's starting his second football game, as you said, for his owner, who's the head boss, which kind of puts Jim Barker in a tough situation if he has to make a decision on Kevin early in the game.
Well, Barker says he's got a game plan to accent all the strengths of young Kevin Federick. How about your Canadian Tire game notes?
Well, with the game notes, we start with the Toronto offense. Toronto offense must protect the quarterback. You know, Damon's not healthy, so they got to give him time to get back there and utilize his receivers. Damon's going to look for a lot of one-on-one matchups. Defensively, Toronto must confuse Kevin Federick. Only his second start. Toronto's very good at giving different looks. They have to do that tonight.
How about the Stampeders?
Well, the Stampeders offense, Kevin has to make smart choices. He's got to get the ball into the hands of his playmakers as soon as he can and let them be the show. Now, defensively for Calgary, they must pressure the quarterback. The whole year we've been saying their front four can get the job done and get the sacks. We got to see Fleming and Demetrius Maxey get the sacks tonight.
Notes brought to you by Canadian Tire. Let's get started.
And let's go down to the sidelines. And once again, here's Michelle Godbout.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Well, storm clouds are slowly moving in here in Calgary, so that means we may see some rain. As for the wind, well, it looks to be about 20 kilometers an hour. It's coming from the southwest, and I'm told here that whenever that happens, there is rain. So that means that the Calgary will be kicking off into the wind. Mark, Darren, back to you.
All right, Michelle, the Argos on a high from a football point of view, coming off their big win over Winnipeg 1 week ago. Pinball Clemens, though, the most positive man in pro football, trying to simmer a feud that between him and Jim Barker that began just yesterday. We'll talk more about that as the game progresses. As Bashir Livingston returns the opening kickoff and Damon Allen goes to work back after a 1-game absence at quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts. He's just 3 days shy of his 40th birthday, 19th season in the CFL. And he told me yesterday, Darren, he comes in feeling rejuvenated. You talked about his passion. He said he wasn't sure he could see past his 20th season in this league had he stayed in BC, but the Argos have given him new life.
Yeah, I think we're going to find out pretty early how his hand feels, whether they're going to start throwing the ball right away or try to establish a running game with Humphreys.
First down, Argos at their own 40-yard line. Damon Allen up behind Chad Folk. On the ground they go with big Randy Bowles, the fullback, right up the gut. And a good big gain on first down, 8 yards it'll be for Randy Bowles as we take a look at the Argos starting offensive lineup this afternoon.
Argos, of course, headed by Damon Allen, but he's got Randy Bowles, you saw in the first carry, and Humphrey can be a good threat as a running back. Receivers, Tony Miles and Hunden are two guys you really got to pay attention to. And there they are up front. A lot of experience up front. That's going to be a key. Give them some time today.
Williams and Fugel, the new tackles this season. Play action now on 2nd and 2. Allen rolling right. There's pursuit from Monroe, and he'll pull him down. Aries Monroe, the sophomore, playing to the field side at rush end, and he tracks down the veteran from behind.
Yeah, it looks like they stopped him about 2 yards short. I don't think it's a situation they're going to be able to go for. There you see a little indecision on Damon's part, and usually he outruns those guys for the first down.
Wow, and Damon Allen didn't even have his helmet done up on the play. You could see his chin strap flapping. There it is now. He had it snapped to the side, and so an interesting call on 2nd and 2. It'll force Toronto into a 3rd and 2 situation, and Wayne McGarity is back to return, the number 2 punt return man in the CFL. He's already brought one back this season, 70 yards. Prefontaine gets a line drive spiral, driving McGarity back to his own 5-yard line, looking for a crease up the far side, and he's dropped as he crosses the 25-yard line. A 57-yard punt from Prefontaine and a 22-yard return. Livingston, the first man down to take his counterpart to the turf.
Usually you don't want to see those guys return those punts inside the 10, maybe let it go for a single, but it was such a low line drive of a punt. McGarity, with his ability, he could take it all the way, so a good decision to bring it out, get it out to the 28.
Kevin Federick making his second start, his second game here before the home crowd. Last week he looked baffled at times against the Montreal Blitz. He was sacked 4 times. But then he also completed 72% of his passes when he settled down. The sophomore at the helm. He'll go to the air out of the backfield. It's Saladin McCullough, and he's dropped at the 30-yard line. One of several XFL players from the Los Angeles Extreme that Jim Barker coached back in 2001, now in this Stampeder football club, as we take a look at the Calgary offense.
McCullough, a threat to run the ball, but also, as we see on that play, to catch the ball. Receivers, as we talked about in pregame, a real strength. McDonald, McGarity, Connell, and up front, another veteran lineup. They're going to have to protect Federick today.
Gain was 2, 2nd and 8. Faking the hitch pass. It's Federick now running right up the gut. He's a gritty quarterback, puts his head down, and he'll be close to the first down. Very close, but I think he'll be shy of the mark by about a yard as Federick calls his own number, faking the hitch pass that was so successful 1 week ago against Montreal.
I like the first 2 calls for Calgary, both conservative football calls to get Federick comfortable. I mean, the first, a little swing pass to McCullough. This time, he gets to get the first hit of his game, get himself into the game, and that's a good play calling just to get him into the football game.
So it'll be 3rd down and about a yard, a punt situation as Duncan O'Mahony stands inside his own 25-yard line. He has a 42-yard average this year. And Bashir Livingston standing back, the lone man back for the Argos on this punt return situation. Stampeders taking time, finally get the ball off. The block was on Adrian Smith, coming awfully close. But O'Mahony gets it away as it bounces near the 38. It's touched. It's a loose ball. The Stampeders try to get it, and they push it out of bounds.
I think we see a penalty flag and probably no yards, but taking a big chance trying to field that punt.
George White was down there, and he may have swatted it out of bounds in front of the Argo bench.
Now you see it here. He has to hurry up the punt so he doesn't get a great punt off, so it's bouncing around a little bit.
Clearly a miscue as Livingston put his hands on the ball. Here's the call from the referee.
Holding, Toronto 36. No yards, Calgary 35. First down.
So the penalties cancel themselves out, and the Argos will scrimmage 1st and 10 inside their own zone when we come back.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Rogers AT&T Wireless. Imagine getting more from your phone.
Welcome back to McMahon Stadium in Calgary. The Argos and Stampeders in the early going of this evening football game. And a reminder that you have a chance to predict the outcome of today's game by joining us online at cbc.ca/CFL in our head-to-head pool. And there's been a lineup change here for the Argonauts. Michael Bishop is in at quarterback.
Livingston at
Bashir
wide
Livingston, the defensive
here
back,
goes.
is in at wide receiver. It's a long bomb to Livingston, deep down the sideline. He's got it! Flags on the play, but Livingston in at receiver, and a huge gain on a pass that had to have traveled 50 yards.
Well, think about this play. They bring in Bishop, who's got the strong arm. They say he can throw it 80 yards in the air. And they got Livingston, their fastest football player, at wideout, and they sneak him in there. He goes right by the defensive back, gets interfered with on the play, and still comes down with the catch. Jeez, I love that. I love those plays like that. That's what the Canadian Football League's all about.
So a 55-yard pass completion from the number 3 signal caller, beaming on the sideline. Michael Bishop in for one play. Bashir Livingston, the special teams returner and backup defender, with a big catch. And the Argos threatening here on their second series. Lyle Knight in the huddle. He had 2 big touchdown catches from Marcus Brady 1 week ago against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So it is Argos first down at the 18-yard line of Calgary. Damon Allen back at quarterback for Toronto. Empty backfield, 6 receiver set. Allen drops the ball, dives on it, and that might be the first indication of his grip strength and his ability to hold the ball with that deep bruise on his throwing hand. He's got a pad there. He was telling us the other day that his grip strength is something that he'd been working on all week.
Yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. They had an interesting formation on this play too, with the backs lined out wide.
There's the big D line for the Stampeders. They have most of the sacks in this Calgary team that has 13 in all. The linebackers, of course, led by the venerable Alondra Johnson. And this secondary with Davis Sanchez back in the lineup after 2 seasons in the National Football League.
Yeah.
2nd and 19 after the loss. Damon Allen, lots of time, fires to the wide side. It's complete to James Hunden, and he turns upfield, but he'll be shy of the first down as the Argos put themselves in a hole with that fumble by Damon Allen as we take one more look at what went wrong.
Yeah, here you see Damon dropping back. He had a good look at Tony Miles, just slips right out of his hand, not even to the point where it's an incomplete pass, but it's a fumble. So that is a question mark with that right hand of Damon.
You can see he's wearing the pad on the right hand, a very deep bruise. He said that pain threshold will be a factor for him today as he tries to get through an entire game. So it'll be a field goal attempt for Noel Prefontaine. Ball spotted at the 25 with a wind behind him. His longest 42 this season. The ball is up and good. And so the Argos get a field goal after that spectacular 55-yard pass from third stringer Mike Bishop to defensive back kick returner Bashir Livingston to put the Argos in scoring territory.
What a really nice play to throw in there and surprise him. It's the second series of the football game.
Well, Michael Bishop has a terrific arm. Pinball was telling us the other day he threw a 70-yard pass to the wide sideline at practice this week. Here's another look at the tremendous strength, and that ball was right on the money.
It was right on the money, and he made Livingston makes a great play on the football. He does look like a receiver. They might have to use him a little more, I think, at receiver.
And he was clubbed by Anthony Pryor. Clearly interference on the play, but he held on. Defender against defender. First down, Calgary. Federick will stay on the ground up the middle. It's Saladin McCullough, and not much going there as there's lots of traffic. Michael Fletcher and gang stopping that one just across the line of scrimmage. Fletcher, of course, moving from the secondary into the linebacking core under the new Rich Stubler defense as we take a look at the Argo starting defensive lineman.
Yeah, there's the defensive line. They got some Grey Cup rings in there with Thomas in England. O'Shea still getting it done at middle linebacker.
Rejuvenated.
And there's that secondary we talked about pregame.
Second down and 8. Federick, time, looking downfield. It's a bobbly pass, and it's broken up. Intended for Albert Connell, but it didn't get there in time, and there's a flag on the play.
I don't know what exactly the flag was. It's certainly in the secondary, so it's most likely an interference call. And I saw Bonner with his arms wrapped around one of the receivers.
Contact on the receiver. Toronto number 10.
You were on it.
First down.
Good call, Darren. And so Antonius Bonner, the other DB who's moved up into a linebacking situation this year, caught putting his hands on a receiver downfield.
He's a very aggressive defensive player. He's in that tweener position with the linebacker, but he also has to get into coverage. Tough guy to go against, but he's very aggressive and can get called for these penalties.
Kevin Federick, a lot of teams don't honor his strength, his arm strength, but here he's pushing the ball deep downfield for the first time in this football game, challenging this Argo secondary. First down in the shotgun. It's a handoff to McCullough, and again, there's not much room there as he negotiates 2, maybe 3 yards on the play. Eric England making contact for the Argos on defense. McCullough, who opened the season with that big 206-yard passing and rushing attack against Hamilton, has found the going tough, though. Last week, he had something like 16 yards on just 5 carries.
Yeah, you find it a little bit different going up against Hamilton's defense than you will against Toronto's defense, no question.
So it's second down and 8. Empty backfield. 6 receiver set. Here comes the Argo blitz. Federick gets it away downfield. Looking for Don Blair into double coverage. Bonner and Clifford Ivory there step for step. And it's incomplete. Pressure coming from Michael Fletcher on the blitz. And so the backup signal caller will head to the bench and Calgary will punt.
Well, they go into this cover 0, meaning exactly that. 0 people in the middle of the field, and they have a 6 receiver set, and they try to take the deep ball. I mean, it's a great decision. It's just good coverage by Antonius Bonner. And that's a good shot right there of Federick hanging in there for that extra second and taking the hit. That's what he has to do.
The lone man back for the Argos as Duncan O'Mahony gets set to punt is James Hunden, the rookie wideout for the Argos, coming from Portland State. Hunden has it at the 24-yard line, tries to make a move. There's no blocking for him down there as there's at least 3 Stampeders on punt cover. Otis Floyd first to make contact on a 38-yard punt and just a 4-yard return for Hunden of Toronto. Argos in front of Calgary 3-0 here early. A reminder, next Saturday the CFL on CBC moves to Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton, where Kahari Jones and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers take on the winless Hamilton Tiger Cats. 6:30 Eastern. The pregame show with Brian and the panel. First down, Toronto. Damon Allen up the gut again. It's Randy Bowles bowling his way into heavy traffic, and he's taken down finally by a host of Stampeder tacklers. Short gain of 3 on the play as the Argos try to establish the run. They're ranked second last in the CFL on the ground with their rushing attack. And of course, they're still missing Michael Jenkins. They re-signed after a 1-year stint with the Houston Texans of the National Football League. It's John Humphrey and Randy Bowles in the backfield tonight, though, for Toronto. Second down and 7 yards, Toronto. Allen.
Randy Bowles looks like he jumps the gun there a little bit.
Some movement along the line of scrimmage, Darren, as they blow that play down just as Allen got it snapped.
Procedure, Toronto number 67. Still second down.
John Fugel, the right tackle, a 4-year letterman out of Maryland, who's been a journeyman in the National Football League, moves.
Yeah, the right tackle does move a bit, and Randy's close to being offsides. Very conservative offense for Toronto early. Surprising. I thought Damon Tam was feeling pretty good. They'd come out throwing the ball a little bit, but maybe it's more of an issue than we thought.
5-yard penalty, make it 2nd and 12 for the Argos. Allen moving the pocket right. He's got time, steps up, fires it straight upfield from Mike Morreale, but it's behind the big slot back target, and he can't hold on. So another punting situation perhaps, although there are flags on the play. And it looks like the call will come against Toronto.
Holding, Toronto 65. Penalties declined, 3rd down.
Sandy Annunziata called for holding, so the Argos on the last 2 series have really put themselves in trouble, one with the fumble and now with a couple of penalties.
Yeah, a couple of penalties, maybe a ball that Mike could have had right there, but even if it does make that play, it's not enough for the 1st down, so it's just not in sync yet. It's early in the football game. Damon will get it going.
Noel Prefontaine, who's coming off a slight quad pull from the Ottawa game, back to punt for Toronto. Wayne McGarity, the threat for the Stampeders, stands at his own 30. Prefontaine hits another line drive straight up the hash marks. McGarity at his own 29. A quick move. He gets past Hardy. Clothesline by Mike O'Shea on the way down. It's a 55-yard punt and just a 12-yard return as Kevin Federick gets set to go again. The young man trying to build some timing with his receivers. A southpaw this week. It was a right-handed thrower in Marcus Crandall 1 week ago, as we asked him what it's like to get on the same page with his receivers.
With your snap count, the lineman here in your count, it's obviously mine might be a little different than Marcus's snap count. So all those things factor in, and they might seem little things, but they do really factor into a ball game.
Stampeders, McCullough on the ground off tackle right. He breaks a couple of tackles and he'll have 7 yards on the gain. Another XFL cast off from the extreme, joining Jim Barker's offense here in Calgary.
Nice second effort by McCullough on that play. Really looked like it was going to be about a 0-yard gain or maybe even a loss, but he fought for 8-9 yards on that one. Puts him in good position for 2nd down.
2nd and 2. Stampeders with their best field position of the afternoon. Their own 48-yard line. McCullough, the lone man in the backfield for Calgary. He'll get the handoff again, cutting against the grain. He'll have the 1st down and more as he's brought down at the center field stripe. Tonius Bonner in to make contact for the Argos.
They thought they could run the ball against Toronto, and you see the big guys up front doing a good job. This series, they're looking good, like they can dominate Toronto up front. And that's what Coach Barker had said yesterday. He thought they could handle them up front.
Oh, McCullough already in just the 1st quarter has more yards rushing than he did last week in the entire game against Montreal. 4 for 18 yards. 1st down, Calgary. Here comes the blitz. Play action. Federick gets the ball away to Regimbald. The big man puts his head down and is finally knocked down by Kevin Scott, the 34-year-old rookie from the National Football League.
Well, I don't know if they lucked into this play call or they checked into it, but it had it coming off the weak side, and they had the perfect flat call for a hot route. The halfback from the weak side was blitzing, and they picked up a nice gain. I think they lucked into it, though, as opposed to checking into it.
So the Stampeders employing their running backs early in this football game. The vaunted receiving attack yet to materialize. This is the 5th play of this Calgary drive, and another 1st down for young Kevin Federick. Federick fakes this time. Naked bootleg. Here comes O'Shea. The pass is away. It's complete. Wayne McGarity tries to tiptoe down the sidelines, and he's finally out at the 19, maybe the 18-yard line of Toronto. Tremendous play action there by Federick.
I think the play calling has been tremendous offensively for Calgary so far. They get Federick on the move. Again, I said teams like to pick on Ivory, and that's why he's been making so many plays. But he got turned around by McGarity right there.
Well, Jim Barker said he was going to go to Kevin Federick's strengths in this football game with a game plan, and he is an offensive mind who has shaped the likes of Anthony Calvillo 1 year ago to his best season in the Canadian Football League. So they're in the red zone, the Stampeders. It's been an area where they failed to score in the past. More play action, another make it bootleg. The ball's away. Don Blair across the 15 is hammered from behind. He'll be close to the 10-yard line. Michael Fletcher making the tackle for the Argonauts.
They come back to the same play fake they did the last play for the big pass to McGarity, and it's something that can keep Federick, they keep the defensive ends staying in their place and then have to respect Federick with the run. I think it's great because it gets him on the move, and I think he's more comfortable on the move.
Federick building a very nice drive here. Second down and 3 yards to go at the 11-yard line of Toronto. Here comes the blitz again. Federick calmly throwing it up for grabs in the end zone. It's complete. Touchdown. Darnell McDonald with his first CFL touchdown.
Again, a great play call by Barker. Puts all the receivers to the right, except for McDonald. You isolate McDonald one-on-one with the weak side corner. Throw the ball up, let him make a play again. We touched on the pregame. This guy can use his body, and he has the ability to make the tough catch. Huge play.
You're right. He's a big man with a big reach. We saw it last week against Montreal as he won all the battles with Omar Evans on the corner. And that's got to build the confidence of Kevin Federick, who calmly stood in and led that drive, culminating with the short pass, 11 yards for a touchdown to McDonald. The point after is good. Jim Barker and the Calgary Stampeders have taken the lead at home at McMahon.
Love your mom.
Darnell McDonald coming off his most prolific game 1 week ago with 11 catches, gets his first touchdown of the season.
Yeah, Federick recognizes Fletcher coming off the edge quickly, calmly releases it. Knows he has McDonald one-on-one against Kevin Scott. Great throw, great catch. You can see him celebrate. I bet he's happy.
Well, he's under a lot of pressure in this town because his father owns the football team, and he's trying to prove himself as a legitimate starter in the Canadian Football League, and he showed a lot of moxie there, standing up against the blitz as Livingston gets over a heaping pile and is brought down on a 22-yard return after a 57-yard kickoff. The scoring drive for Federick and the Stampeders, 6 plays over 69 yards.
He's really shown his patience on this drive. A great play calling, as I mentioned before. That was the one big play, but besides that, the little dump offs and of course the touchdown pass to McDonald. That's what I meant when I said he had to be patient and just get the ball in the hands that can make the plays for you.
The receiving corps saying it takes a while to get used to a new quarterback, especially a southpaw, when you're used to a player like Marcus Crandall who throws right-handed and usually takes more time in the pocket. Here's pressure now on Damon Allen on first down, rolling to his right. He throws across his body to Mike Morielli for a big first down at center field. Jason Bray makes the tackle for the Stampeders as the veteran and one of your former teammates comes up big on a scramble.
Well, here you see Damon doing what he does best. He buys himself some time, scrambles out of the pocket. It's what he's known for, is his elusiveness. And Mike Morielli, interestingly, he's dropped 20 pounds this year, and he's a much better threat as a lighter receiver than really bulking up.
The gain is 16 on the play. First down, here's the pitch. Around the outside, John Humphrey. Little Marshall Falk, his teammates call him. Hasn't much to go there as he dives across the center field stripe. George White makes the tackle on a 1-yard gain. Changed his number from 23 in the preseason to 28, just like Marshall Falk, at the advice of his teammates.
Yeah, it's pretty tough shoes to fill, Marshall Falk, but we'll go with it. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt for now.
Pinball Clemens waiting for news this weekend on the health of the veteran Michael Jenkins, as his ankle injury continues to be a problem. Back to pass, Damon Allen, lots of time, gets it away across the middle. It's complete to Lyle Knight. Lyle Knight in a foot race with George White, and he's finally forced out of bounds at the 36-yard line. He had 2 big touchdown catches for Marcus Brady last week against Winnipeg.
This is a great football play right here. So I hope we get a peek of the replay here, but it's your basic rub route. Mike Morielli's going to come from the weak side, rub the guy. They're in man-to-man coverage, as you see, get rubbed right there. And when you can catch him in man, these plays are very effective. Get it in the ball, get the ball in the hands of the guy that can make the play.
Lyle Knight, the sophomore out of UCLA, just played 2 games last year with the Argos. Last week, 4 catches for 177 yards. Big play material for the Argos, who are still missing 4 veteran receivers. Allen looking deep for Humphrey. Oh, it goes through his hands in the end zone. Otis Floyd, the linebacker, step for step with the running back, and that ball was on the money, Darren.
It was on the money. I think our questions about Damon's health and how his hand feels early in the football game are being answered. He threw this ball right on the money, and they have a nice matchup here with a speedy running back against a linebacker. And when you get that matchup, man on man, you got to take that shot. There's no question. Great throw, maybe a catchable ball. He wish he had that one back.
Floyd looked like he may have got his hand in there at the last minute. 2nd down and 10, Argos. Allen straight back to pass, 4-man rush across the middle. It's complete to Lal Knight again. He puts his head down, lots of real estate, and another Toronto first down on a 15-yard pickup as Damon Allen begins to work the big slot back.
Damon really looks like he's settled down, and again with these underneath routes, they seem to think there's some space underneath the Calgary defense, and just gets enough for the first down. And it's a great drive for Damon, really get him going.
Well, the Jim Daly defense doesn't play a lot of man. They force teams to put long drives together. They only have 3 interceptions so far this season, and right now Damon Allen has the Argos marching. Back to pass on first down to the end zone again to Humphrey, searching over both shoulders. It's too far. Alondra Johnson, the middle linebacker, in coverage there on John Humphrey. So twice they go to the diminutive running back with nothing to show in the end zone. At the end of the first quarter, the Stampeders have a 4-point lead over the Argos as Darnell McDonald hits the end zone for the first time. Threatening skies moving into the foothills area. Thunder and lightning already reported as this near capacity crowd celebrates a terrific first quarter of football. The home team leading Toronto 7-3. The Argos, though, threatening here. 2nd and 10 on the Calgary 21 as we check the first quarter numbers, and clearly the passing numbers stand out, Darren.
Well, Bishop's big play to Livingston makes up a lot of that yardage for the Argos, but impressive with the yards passing for the Stampeders. Frederick put together a nice drive, 57 yards. You do that in the course of a game, you're going to be over 200 yards.
Shotgun formation, 2nd and 10. Allen, empty backfield, 6 receivers set. Here comes the blitz. Allen stepping up, throwing for Morielli. The end zone, touchdown, Argos. Mike Morielli in behind William Fields for his 2nd touchdown of the season.
Again, Damon recognizing cover 0, as we mentioned earlier, meaning no free safety, so they're one-on-one. Damon has the time to throw. And this is what I'm talking about, Mike Morielli losing 20 pounds. He's got that step back. He looks like 1999 most outstanding Canadian football player again. It's great to see Mike run routes like that again.
Yeah, he looked awfully quick there, putting the move on Fields and getting deep into the end zone. The point after from Prefontaine is good, and the Argos retake the lead on that drive led by Damon Allen. It's 10-7 Toronto early in the 2nd quarter.
The CFL on CBC, brought to you by Wendy's, the official hamburger of the CFL. Wendy's, it's better here.
Welcome to the jungle.
It's gonna be wild.
Gotta get a ticket.
It's open season for Canadian football in Hamilton. We've got the players. 15 free agents are back with the Cats.
You gotta get a ticket.
We've got the leadership. Now all we need is you.
Gotta get a ticket.
Buy your Cat season tickets now and save even more with a PST rebate. It's like getting 4 games for free. Just ask us how. Tickets available at the Roar stores. By phone or online. Don't miss 1 second of the flame-making, stadium-quaking, record-breaking action of Cat football.
A trim Mike Morielli with his 2nd touchdown catch of the season, doubling his entire production of 1 year ago. As you mentioned, Darren, 20 pounds lighter, and he looked awfully swift there on the connection with the veteran Damon Allen. Rochelle and McDonald back to return this kickoff from Prefontaine, and one hopper. It's Darnell McDonald straight up the hash marks, gets outside a block, hit a big seam, makes another move inside, still going, and finally dropped. Kevin Scott and Mike Crum in on the tackle, a 61-yard kickoff and a 34-yard return as we revisit the scoring play on that 7-play scoring drive for Toronto.
Well, this will give you a great look at cover zero. Here's where a free safety usually is. Damon recognizes it. Now the receivers recognize it. They got one-on-one coverage everywhere. And now you got Mike Morelli just running right past his cover guy. That's pretty impressive. You know, some people say Mike Millar because he's married to Joanne Millar, but he's back to Morelli with that play.
Problems with the snap. Federic back to pass, heaving deep downfield, looking for Albert Connell into double coverage, and it's incomplete. Wheaton and Scott back to break that up. Two newcomers this season in the Argo secondary. Connell, who's known for his tough blocking, couldn't get underneath. There's the snap problem as Federic appeared to pull out from behind Jimmy Crysdale a little early.
Interesting too, being a lefty, having to do the play fake to the right, then totally turn around. You have no look at the secondary because you had to totally turn around and put you back to the secondary. That's a tough position to put that quarterback in.
Federic with good passing numbers, 5 of 7 so far. Remember, he had 72% completion average 1 week ago against Montreal. The rain begins to come down at McMahon Stadium. Here's the screen pass. McCullough juking his way but won't fool the veteran. Mike O'Shea makes the tackle. The number 2 leader in tackles on this Toronto defense. And we talked about him being rejuvenated this year too.
Yeah, Mike's healthy for a change. It's a good play call with the screen. He gets one-on-one with his big back in the open field, but Mike just makes a great tackle and keeps him from gaining the first down.
Again, more pressure in the face of Federic as the Argos look to get a hit on the quarterback at every turn.
Well, you expect that with the screen pass, though, because the linemen are holding their guys for a little bit and then releasing them to get downfield. So he's going to get hit on that one. He's got to expect it.
We'll see what Federic does for an encore now as Damon Allen answered him with a touchdown.
Heads up, heads up.
Having to give up the punt here, O'Mani angling it out of bounds and away from the lethal Bashir Livingston. So the Argos with tough field position inside their own 25 as Damon Allen goes back to work to the 36-yard punt. And with every year, he continues to threaten more all-time records. Here he is here, just 9 away from Ron Lancaster's all-time mark for touchdown passes. He came into this game, Darren, just 362 yards shy of 60,000, which would put him in elite company with Dan Marino and Warren Moon.
Pretty amazing numbers. And as he mentioned yesterday, it's amazing that people still consider him the key to the game at his age.
60,000 yards is 55 kilometers. That's almost the distance from Toronto to Hamilton. There's a fumble. The Stampeders have it. It's Willie Fells still turning, breaking tackles at every turn, and finally hogtied by Fugel, the offensive tackle. Bulls, though, putting the ball on the turf, and a huge turnover deep in Argo territory.
We'll have to take a look at this one, too. It could be another situation with the hand because the hand's going to get hit on a handoff. I don't know if there's trouble with the handoff because of his hand. And look at Willie Fells. I think he's wrong way Marshall here. I thought he was going to come down the other way. He ends up gaining a few yards back, though.
Fends off Morelli, another tackle by Lal Knight. It was a fake and then a handoff, a fake pitch, and the handoff didn't quite get to the fullback.
Yeah, it didn't really look like a situation with his hand. It was more timing.
Now McGarity and the rest of this receiving corps are set to try to take advantage of the turnover. They go on the ground first. McCullough off tackle left, straight arming, makes his way across the 20 to about the 19-yard line, and a 5-yard pickup before he's pushed out of bounds. But Willie Fells with a timely fumble recovery for this Stampeder defense, his first of the season.
Yeah, we had mentioned Toronto had been staying away from the turnovers offensively, especially interceptions, but that's a huge turnover in their own end, which should at least amount to a field goal for the Stampeders.
Lightning cracking high over McMahon Stadium, drawing some reaction from the crowd here. It is 2nd down and 5, a 6-receiver set for the Stampeders. Federic throwing across to the hash marks. It's complete. Wayne McGarity turns upfield for the first down across the 10-yard line of Toronto. McGarity, who was a threat, now there's some pushing and shoving and some bad blood as Fletcher and McGarity exchange some straight arms after that connection. McGarity had 7 catches for 97 yards last week against Montreal. He comes into the game the touchdown leader for the Stampeders with 5.
Well, this is great because it's an arrogant group of receivers for Calgary. As you see, he's wide open on this play, but it's a similar arrogant group of defensive backs for Toronto. So of course there's going to be some tension. Starts with Albert Connor Connell trying to get a late block on Mike O'Shea there. Love to see the excitement, though.
Well, these three newcomers, McGarity, Connell, and McDonald, have quickly etched their names into the memory of a lot of DBs in this league. And Connell, they're beginning to call Albert Connell Splat Albert because of the big blocks he throws. And that one obviously upset Mike O'Shea. First down and goal at the 9-yard line for the Stampeders. In the shotgun, Federick with all kinds of time, looking to the far corner. It's a jump ball in the end zone. Incomplete. Picked off by Wheaton, but he's out of touch.
We have a penalty too. I think the left slot back, I don't know who it was, but was offsides. So the play's going to go for naught no matter what.
Federick had all kinds of time to make his decision, and by the time he released the ball.
Offside. Calgary 86. Penalties declined. Second down.
McGarity a little too fast on the break.
You know, with a new quarterback, sometimes as the slot backs get their running start, the cadence is a big issue. I always had a problem with that and timing up my cadence because you want to hit the line of scrimmage going as fast as you can.
Second down and goal from the 9 of Toronto. Federick bringing his two backs in for extra help. This time looking to the far sideline. McDonald, the intended receiver, but the ball nowhere near him. And the fans are booing the Calgary quarterback as he heads off the field. It'll be a field goal situation for Mark McLaughlin.
It's a bit harsh to start booing him here. He did double clutch this one. He had him. He would have had to drill a really tight pass in there, and it's they're still going to get 3 points out of this, hopefully.
Marcus Crandall on the sideline. He'll begin strength rehab of his injured hamstring tomorrow, and they expect he'll be out at least 3 to 5 weeks. A tough break for him after a terrific first half in Montreal last week. Here's McLaughlin, his longest from 33. This will be a chip shot. They'll spot the ball at the 16. McLaughlin puts it up and through the uprights. And so the Stampeders pull even as the veteran McLaughlin is good on his first field goal attempt of the game. A reminder, next week on Sports Saturday, cross-country skiing Olympic medalist Becky Scott is featured on Women Warriors. We've got the canoe and kayak world championships from Germany, beach volleyball from Marseille, France. Canadians contend for triathlon World Cup honors in Newfoundland, and the highlights of the opening ceremony at the Pan Am Games from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. The Argos electing to return the kick. It's dropped by Hunden at his 18-yard line. He picks it up and breaks some tackles and makes good across the 30-yard line. But there's a flag on the play. Willie Fell celebrating the special teams tackle as the Argos held Calgary to just 3 points after that fumble recovered by Willie Fells on the last series. Jim Barker talking with his number 3 man. He's number 2 today. Scott Milanovich, brought in 3 weeks ago, the former XFL backup Barker had in his offense with the LA Extreme of the XFL. Milanovich has not had a chance to get many reps because this week they spent all of their time getting Kevin Federick ready as the rain comes down. These threatening clouds beginning to open up over McMahon Stadium. Fells, though, called for being offside on the kickoff, and they'll do it all over again. Mike Clemens, I mentioned off the top of the broadcast, trying to quell that simmering dispute between he and Jim Barker. Barker started it all the other day by saying that in reaction to the financial troubles of the Argos, that he was glad not to be part of what was going on there, that he felt badly for some people but not many others. And Pinball, in a rare public rebuke, said that Barker just didn't understand that if it weren't for Toronto and the Argonauts, he probably wouldn't be in this league. Barker, of course, was upset because he was fired after the 1999 season as head coach, and says he and his family were never really told properly. He found out he was no longer in their plans when the key to his lock at the office didn't work. But it's all behind them now, and it's all about football. In a 10-10 football game, they re-kick, and it's Hunden this time making sure at the 25. A burst of speed up the near sideline. Hunden finally dropped as he crosses the 45-yard line. Scott Dybert, the big fullback with all kinds of speed, brings him down. It's a 55-yard kickoff and a 39-yard return as Dybert makes a big special team shoestring tackle, or that was trouble.
What a huge difference in field position just for an all-sides call on a kickoff team. You don't think special teams is important. That's a difference of about 33 yards on that first kick into the second kick.
So a huge swing in field position for the Argos. 1st and 10 at the 46-yard line of the Stampeders. The best field position to start a drive for Toronto this afternoon. Damon Allen looking across the middle. It's complete to Tony Miles, the speedster out of Hamilton. Short gain of 1 or 2 on the play.
Toronto and Damon have given this no running back look a lot tonight. 6 receivers all spread out. And you think of an attack deep maybe, but here he's using the short passing game kind of to compensate for the lack of a running game.
Miles has 4.4, 4.5 speed in the 40, and a lot of people think he can run his routes at that speed. He doesn't lose much on his cuts.
Tony Miles is an amazing receiver, third in the league right now in receiving.
Gain was 2, it's 2nd and 8. Allen now moving the pocket, stepping up and throwing deep downfield. James Hunden is open, but that ball is overthrown. Hunden open on the play on the deep corner route. And Davis Sanchez was the corner they were testing there. He's yet to get his first interception of this football season after 9 2 years ago in Montreal.
Yeah, it's a nice set here where they had the wide receiver move down in movement and yet come back out and run a corner route. And I thought he may have slowed up just a touch coming out of his break.
Rain coming down hard now, which will make the football slipperier, and didn't seem to bother Damon Allen on that play. But when your grip is threatened with an injury and pain, add water to the mix and it makes it even more difficult.
The water's certainly not going to help that, but you know, this isn't tennis. We play through this in football.
A 51-yard attempt for Prefontaine. His longest this year is 52. He hit from 61 in warm-ups with the wind, and he's wide. He had the distance. McGarity will run it out of the end zone, cutting upfield. Beats 3 tacklers. Finally tracked down from behind. Marius, the rookie, makes the tackle for Toronto. And Wayne McGarity had some speed going there. I thought we were going to see a remake of that missed field goal last week when Stokes took it back 115.
Yeah, as Barker said last week when they had to kick the long field goal, you worry about that missed field goal because you got your big guys out there protecting the field goal. Almost a remake of what Keith Stokes did last week against Calgary.
Pinball told us that last week Prefontaine was not attempting anything outside the 45 because of that quad pull. But clearly the leg is strong, just a little off the mark on that attempt from 51. First down, Federick and the Stampeders inside their own 20. They'll stay on the ground conservatively, trying to get outside to McCullough. And he's gang tackled. The ball is loose. The Argos knock it out of bounds. The ruling is it's a live ball and a first down Toronto on the turnover.
Argo football, a great field position again.
It looked like there was trouble on the handoff. The rain's coming down, the ball slippery, and it's a big turnover for the Argos.
Yeah, it's tough to see. It looks like a good exchange on the handoff. He has it in his outside hand, protecting the ball. Was it O'Shea that gets the hit there? I'm not sure who gets the. O'Shea knocks the ball out of bounds to make sure the Argos keep possession. Heads up play by Mike O'Shea.
Noah Cantor, though, sprung the ball loose, making contact first for the Argos. But you're right, Mike O'Shea makes at least touching it out of bounds, and it's Argo possession, the last team to touch it.
In the CFL where you don't have to jump on it and gain possession before you out of bounds, just bat it out of bounds, and that's an experienced move by Mike.
First down Argos at the Calgary 20. Damon Allen straight back to pass. Flare pass too high for John Humphrey and incomplete. There was nobody near Humphrey on that play, but the ball was too high.
Yeah, just sailed on him a little bit. He had some space to run with the ball if Damon sticks it in his numbers, and he could have turned upfield, but
Humphrey coming off a tough week last week, 7 carries, -4 yards in rushing. It's an unusual number.
That's a very tough week for a running back. It's going to take a while to get his yards per carry up after that week.
2nd and 10 Argos. Allen backpedaling, wanted to throw quickly, changes his mind, lots of time, there's room to run, he'll throw, wide open, it's complete, Hunden diving for the end zone, touchdown Argos! Damon Allen reading once, twice, 3 times, and he goes to the backside as James Hunden scores his first touchdown of his CFL career.
Well, we're seeing why Damon Allen is considered one of the best all-time quarterbacks in the history of the CFL. Again, with his elusiveness, he buys times. The play broke down for the receivers. You see him just standing around, no one really working to get open, except for Hunden. Nice throw moving to his left, and a good job of just sneaking the ball into the end zone. Boy, Damon looks great.
Damon looks great, and that was the worst fear for Jim Barker as Prefontaine puts the convert through the uprights. He said, Damon Allen, if you let him get free, that's the worst part. And he saw it right there as James Hunden hits the end zone. James Hunden, who lit up the Arena League last year for 35 touchdowns, gets his first in the CFL.
Feel good. Feel better when we win.
Okay, I want you to watch Fields right here, the defensive back. And as you watch Damon come back, play breaks down, then he moves to his left. He has to respect Damon's running ability and watch him come up and have indecisiveness.
Prefontaine to kick it off, straight up the hash marks. And it's Darnell McDonald with a head of speed across the 35-yard line, straight up, breaking tackles. The big man on his own gets close to the 50-yard line. As we return to that last touchdown play.
Yeah, we'll go back. We'll concentrate on Fields here. And here we see Damon. Buy some time, he's going to scramble, and he makes the defensive back indecisive.
Fields was on an island there, didn't know where to go. And then Hunden slipping in behind and open at the 6-yard line.
Yeah, a quarterback like Damon, you don't know whether to come up and try to make the tackle or stay with your man when the play breaks down.
Kevin Federick, who was booed off the field despite a couple of great drives in this football game. In the shotgun, the southpaw throwing high. Adrian Smith saw that one as Albert Connell was the intended receiver, breaking it up, but the ball was probably a little too high, and Connell doesn't look too happy.
Well, you really don't want to go up high and make a play when you're running a slant route. But Federick's timing was pretty good there as we hear some thunder crash above.
Oh, it's really crashing. A lot of fans have already headed for the concessions. 2nd and 10 for Federick and the Stampeders. He'll keep his running backs in the backfield for support. Stepping up. He's got trouble, pressure, and the young quarterback is sacked. Marvin Thomas, who wore a Super Bowl ring, who wears a Super Bowl ring from Denver in '98 and a Grey Cup ring from the BC Lions in 2000, was there to get the Calgary quarterback.
Yeah, you can't pin this one on Federick. I saw the play develop. There was absolutely nobody open. There was 2 Calgary receivers weak side, 4 people defending him. So that's what you would call a coverage sack.
Rich Stubler, the defensive coordinator, a quick swig at the Argo bench, and Marvin Thomas has his 3rd sack of the season to equal the team lead with Mike O'Shea and Eric England. Livingston back to return for the Argos. Flags fly as O'Mahony sails his punt deep.
And movement early on the offensive line. They look like the right guard.
Procedure, Calgary 39. Still 3rd down.
So frustration, you can hear it coming from the Calgary side of the football. As Fells is offside, or at least procedure. That's the 2nd time he's been caught along the line of scrimmage for Calgary.
Yeah, that first penalty with the offsides on the kickoff cost him huge. Hopefully this one won't cost him as much as the first one did.
Livingston, the lone man back. O'Mahony had one blocked by Baron Miles in return for a touchdown last week. Calgary fooled by an overshift by Montreal. This time they worked all week on getting their assignments straight. As O'Mahony takes the snap and gets it away at his 27. This one not as good as the one that was called back end over end and out of bounds. And they're going to spot this one at the 50-yard line, but there's another flag on the play and some trash talk at center field as Damon Allen makes his way onto the field. A 23-yard punt.
Again, a penalty cost them field position, but we'll see how this penalty plays out. It may be a roughing call on Calgary. They're beating up pretty good on Chris Hardy out there.
Here's Dave Ewell.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Calgary 39.
Gee.
After the play, 1st down.
Willie Fells again, his 3rd penalty of this first half. And that's going to give Toronto even better field position as they move the ball across the center field stripe. Reminder coming up at the half, the panel minus Darren Flutie, Brian Williams, Greg Frères, and Millie. We'll talk about the first half. Of course, the big man, Chris Walby, on vacation, but he'll be here via videotape with his CBC playbook. And Brian will have another page in a history of excellence. Argos, first down at the 45 of Calgary. Damon Allen, a comeback pass is incomplete as Tony Miles went diving for that one on the far side of the field. Miles thought he should have had it.
Well, here's a situation where they had man coverage and they had 3 receivers to the weak side, leaving the whole field side to Tony Miles. And this is a ball I'm sure Tony would say he should have had.
The last 3 drives for the Argos have started inside Calgary territory as Tony Miles comes close there but couldn't hold on to the Damon Allen offering. 2nd and 10 from the 45 of the Stampeders. Here comes the blitz. Allen rolling away from pressure now. Stepping up across field. It's complete to Tony Miles. Miles turns on the Jets, and he'll have a first down for the Argos, making good for the miscue on the last play.
Sure did, and again, it looked like a miscue in the Calgary secondary. There were 2 people open early over the middle. Morreale, one of them, and then Tony eventually getting into that, right where the middle linebacker should be. But Damon, again, using his feet to buy some time, throwing the ball on the run, and not a bad guy to get the ball in the hands of Tony Miles.
Jim Barker saying you've got to have controlled pressure on Damon Allen. Don't let him do that. Get outside and buy himself some time. First down, Allen moves his backs to the right, dropping straight back to pass. Lots of time in the pocket. This time pressure from Joe Fleming from behind, and he'll get the Toronto quarterback. Joe Fleming with his 7th sack of the season, the league leader.
Well, Wellesley, Massachusetts native Joe Fleming getting his, as you said, 7th sack of the season. They finally get a little bit of pressure on Damon where he couldn't beat him outside. And they got to do this. They got to, again, they got to get some pressure on him, make him indecisive.
Well, the Stampeders opened the season with 9 sacks against the Montreal Alouettes, but have had just 4 in the 4 games since then. Getting a look at Joe Fleming back after a 1-year retirement. Looking strong there. Allen back to pass on 2nd down and long. This time he's going to run. Tries to get by AJ. He pitches it. Randy Bowles now with a big move on Sanchez. Rumbling to the 10. Puts his head down to the 5. Oh, the big man smoking.
Well, I know Damon Allen, and I could see that play coming a mile away. He does a great job, again, of scrambling with the football when the play breaks down. You see him looking upfield. He wants to throw the ball, wants to throw ball. And right about here, he knows he can't get the first down on his own, but he spots the guy, Randy Bowles, out of the corner of his eye.
How about the move on Sanchez?
Not bad for a big guy, huh? Don't want to tackle him in the open field. Boom, boom.
Tooks William Fields. Took him across and down. The gain on the play, 32. That's the best for Randy Bowles in his CFL career of 3 seasons, the veteran out of Simon Fraser. In fact, he had 33 yards rushing coming into this game, nearly matched it on that 1 gain, and the injured Calgary Stampeders, William Fields, who really bore the brunt of that bulldozer, Randy Bowles.
I'll tell you, you don't want to tackle Randy in the open field. He is a big boy, but Damon, I have to get back to Damon. Watching him tonight, he looks like he's playing football in his backyard. He's scrambling around, throwing the ball on the run, pitching it.
A big comeback for Damon after the sack, and I noticed he lost the protective padding, the gauze. It was on the back of his throwing hand on that play.
Yeah,
you can see the right hand it's been torn off. You get a better angle on it.
Well, you know, you get into the game and you feel the injury as you fly out here and during the week, but you get into the game and that adrenaline is flowing. Some of these injuries seem to kind of dissipate a little bit.
Take another look at that hellacious blow on William Fields.
Yeah, you can see how big Randy is right there, and let's see what happens at impact. Oh, I don't know if it's a shoulder, if he hits his helmet against Randy's shoulder pad right there, which could cause a concussion. He does bend his neck down. Dangerous position for a defensive back to get into with your head down trying to make a tackle, but it looks like his shoulder.
Fields, who gave up 50 pounds on that collision, with Randy Bowles being helped off by Pat Clayton, as Damon Allen employs 2 former Tiger Cats, Tony Miles and Randy Bowles, acquired in the trade for Joe Montford on this drive. Here they go, first down at the 4-yard line. Humphrey is met in the backfield and body slammed by the veteran Alondra Johnson, who turned 38 this week, and they say he's having one of his best seasons in the past 4 or 5.
AJ shoots through this line like a lightning bolt, like the lightning we've seen tonight. I don't know how he got back there. He almost met the handoff in the backfield, and he is the ageless wonder.
He is, and he spends his night before the game fishing along the Bow River. For trout, likes the serenity and the quietness as he prepares for this season.
You see AJ out there with a fishing pole fishing for trout. I just can't visualize that one.
Hasn't caught anything yet, apparently. Here we go, 2nd and goal. Allen rolling right out of the backfield. It's Humphrey straight arming, but he won't get in as Willie Fells shoves him out of bounds at the line of scrimmage, or the original line of scrimmage, the 4-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and a field goal situation for the Argos.
Yeah, Damon rolling right, hitting his back out of the backfield. Nice tackle by Willie, but I wouldn't celebrate that much after my 3 penalties have cost my team as much as they have.
John Humphrey, who has been employed out of the backfield on several swing passes today, advances the ball back to the 4-yard line, and they'll spot this field goal attempt from the 11-yard line. Prefontaine good on 1 of 2 attempts so far in this first half. Prefontaine this time from a sharp angle puts it right through. No mistake there. And the Argos build their lead to 7 points with the 3-minute warning.
Up close and toxic on the nature of things. Then Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Sunday on CBC television.
The Argos with 10 points on both occasions in the red zone. A touchdown and a field goal and a 20-10 lead with 2:51 to go. Rochelle bobbles that one. McDonald picks it up inside the 10-yard line. And that was scary as they finally bring it to the 25. Kevin Ivan, the CFL's leading tackler on special teams, makes the grab there for Toronto. Kevin Federick gets his last-minute instructions from Jim Barker and heads out to launch this next series.
This is an important series for Kevin. 7 of 12, not bad numbers. 69 yards, not quite 10 yards of completion. They need a good drive here. They got to get some points going into halftime to get them back into the game.
Well, he's had receivers open, and the question is, can he get the ball there and take advantage of this receiving corps that is aggressive, as you say, and will fight for the football. 1st down, 25-yard line. Federick. Screen pass out of the backfield. McCullough falls as he makes his cut, and Mike O'Shea is waiting with open arms right at the line of scrimmage. McCullough had a tremendous debut in the CFL 2 weeks ago against Hamilton. More than 100 yards, 105 through the air, 101 on the ground. After fumbling on his first carry, he came back and looked awfully terrific.
Well, a lot of running backs have had big games against the Ticats this year. Let's see how he does over time. You know, he's playing Toronto this week, played Montreal last week, and he struggled a little bit.
Yeah, 16 yards and 5 carries last week. McCullough to the air. This ball is behind Albert Connell as Adrian Smith was in the vicinity on coverage. And it'll be a 3rd down situation. Punt time for O'Mani.
Toronto's doing a good job of being patient and making him make the throws. There they put a little bit of pressure on him, but they're making him make that perfect throw. And as to yet, he really hasn't been able to do that.
Adrian Smith coming into this game as the CFL leader in interceptions with 4 in this Ray Stubler defense. And the Stampeders have lost momentum in this football game. Their last 3 series, a fumble and 2 2-and-out drives. Lack of drives. This punt from O'Mani, a good one, spiraling deep to the near sideline. Livingston loses his footing inside the 25. Now he'll belly back. Flags are down, trying to get outside, looking for room and some blocks. Big block on Dupuis. Livingston now to beat the punter. And he's dropped as Duncan O'Mani, with an unorthodox tackle, stops the Toronto return.
Well, that's a huge return, but that's going to come back. There's some clips, some holds, some pushing down going on there at impact.
Well, there's orange linen all over the football field on the 32-yard return by Livingston, who has the longest kick return this season.
Toronto 32, 1st down.
So that will negate that exciting return, as Pinball begs to differ with the officials. It's Chuck Winters, the rookie out of Michigan, who made the illegal block. Livingston, who has thrilled Argo fans this year with a 60-yard kickoff return, the league's longest, stopped there on the 32-yard attempt.
Well, he thrilled us a little bit earlier in the game with that pass reception. I want to see him a little bit on offense.
Rainbow over McMahon with 2 minutes to go until the half. Brian Williams in the panel standing by. The playbook is all queued up. A look at another moment in history in the CFL, and of course some analysis of this football game that is beginning to get away on the Stampeders. Up the middle, John Humphrey puts his head down, and a good first down gain there of almost 8 yards. So Humphrey, who was frustrated 1 week ago, and the Argos only got 6 first downs in that victory over Winnipeg, moving the yardsticks there, or at least within 2 yards of the first down.
As an offense, you're under 2 minutes, you're up by 10. This is what you like to see. If you get the initial first down, you go ahead and you try to put some points on the board and get aggressive. If you don't, maybe you run out the clock.
2nd and 2. On the ground again, up the middle. Humphrey beats the first man in the backfield, and George White brings him down, but not until the small running back gets the Argo first down.
Yeah, so now they have that first down, 2 running plays, which is big for the Argos, who haven't been running the ball that well. So now you think with a minute 30 left, they're going to get a little more aggressive and maybe try to score some points here.
4 carries for 10 yards. The rushing mark for Humphrey, as he gets most of them on that first down play there. Back to pass, Damon Allen. Rolling right, pressure. He'll throw across the middle. Tony Miles beats Malvo, gets outside, can't break the tackle as he's dragged down from behind.
Another example of Damon making a play out of nothing. The receivers were covered. He finds Tony open over the middle again. Tony, I'm not sure if he injures he's had an ankle problem a little bit earlier this year, and we'll see what happens on this tackle, if it's by the ankle, or looked like he was hobbling a little bit getting up.
George White, alumnus of yours from Boston College, making the tackle on Miles. It is 1st and 10, Toronto, as they continue to eat up time on the clock. Less than 50 seconds to go until halftime. Allen, screen pass, Randy Bowles. Gets across the 45 to the 50. Alondra Johnson drags him down from behind on a high tackle just shy of the first down.
I've never seen Randy Bowles used this much in an offense, but a good call, a screen call that could go for a long way, and they're close to a first down, and they still have 42 seconds to get into field goal range at least.
And a timeout left, so yeah, time for the Argos to put some more points on the scoreboard before the half. The clock ticking now to 32 seconds. 2nd down and 2. Allen across the middle again. It's Tony Miles, and he's tracked down by George White again. Very close to the first down. See where they mark his forward progress, very close to the center field stripe.
It's almost right on the first down line, but if you place the ball right in the middle of that foot, it could be a first down. There's Tony making a living coming underneath. That's usually not what he does. He's a speed guy, outside receiver, but he's tough. He's a great receiver, can make the tough catch across the middle.
So there's the measurement. Ball spotted at the 49, and it will be a first down by the length of the football for the Argos.
They've got to manage the clock now. They got 23 seconds. If they have that timeout left and they complete one across the middle, you may see them use the timeout, but it's all clock management, and Damon should be very experienced at this.
First down, Argos, 23 seconds to go to the half, a 20-10 Toronto lead. Now the veteran will show how he works the clock in the CFL. Back to pass, wants to go deep. Man open. It's Lal Knight at the 30, and he's clotheslined as he crosses the 30 by Hassan Proverbs, the rookie free safety. 12 seconds to go on the clock. And it will go once the sticks are set up on the Argo first down.
He crosses across the field with the line of scrimmage. I think they're using their timeout here, which is a smart move. You got 12 seconds. You got time for one more play into the end zone. You don't get that, you go for the field goal. But a huge completion. Damon is just whizzing the ball around tonight.
Lal Knight, the UCLA grad, continues to be a force in relief of the injured veterans on this Argo team. They're still missing Daryl Mitchell with the knee injury. Alfred Jackson still nursing his knee injury. Jimmy Oliver still out with a hamstring. And Andre Talbot also out.
Imagine what they're going to be like when they get some of these football players back. I mean, they're great right now.
All kinds of depth. That's the third catch. A total of 58 yards for Lal Knight. First down, 12 seconds to go on the clock. Pressure now, Allen gets it away, stopping the clock with 8 seconds to go.
He absolutely can't take a sack in that situation. Damon, Calgary getting some pressure on him.
Fleming and Monroe.
He had nobody open, so he just throws it away and saves 8 seconds on the clock.
8 seconds to go. Second down is Big Joe Fleming. Put footsteps in the ears of the veteran Damon Allen.
Well, now you have to do this play fairly quickly, and it has to go into the end zone. I would think, take a shot at the end zone.
Is there time for 2 plays or they miss it here? Allen, quick drop, drops the football.
Not now.
It's picked up. Alondra Johnson drops it. Maxey has it now, rumbling to the end zone. This will be the final play of the half as they start pitching it out.
He's got it.
Still going. Maxey, one man to beat. No! Knocked out of bounds. At the 4-yard line, Michael Palmer, the rookie out of Guelph, gets back to stop the steamer. Demetrius Maxey.
Mark, I'm at a loss of what to say about this play. So much for having enough time to kick the field goal. Again, Damon losing the ball as he goes back to throw it. He picks up some good blocks here. Looks like he's in the end zone here, but great hustle. Number 77 in the Argos saves a touchdown. What a way to end a half, huh, Mark?
An exciting final play to the first half, a 20-10 Toronto lead. Let's go down to the sidelines. Here's Michelle with the Toronto head coach.
Thanks a lot, guys. We're working Pinball Clemens. Pinball, that's a good first half. What does Damon Allen bring to your offense?
You know what? He does so many things, and he's so creative, and he just keeps getting better all the time. He's phenomenal, some of the plays he made. Obviously, his hand is hurting. He's lost the ball twice now going back, so play a real gutsy effort as well.
Are you going to reassess his injury during this half?
We definitely will. We'll reassess it to make sure he's all right and he's not getting much worse. We won't be afraid to play our other guys.
Mike, good luck for the second half.
Thank you so much, okay?
Thanks. Back to you, Brian, up in studio.
Thank you, Michelle. Wild first half of football here in Calgary. That is unless you're a fan of the running game. And speaking of fans of the running game, Sean Millington.
Well, the only running we've seen is Demetrius Maxey on that last play.
He gets a loose from a big guy.
I'm going to say, look at that guy, weaving and joking. But I mean, hey, Damon Allen's been the big difference here. You see the benefit of having a veteran guy who can stay in there, throw the ball downfield, and make something happen. Kevin Federick, you know, he started off well in the first quarter. Second quarter, he starts to get a little bit antsy. His feet starting to dance. He's getting a little more uncertain of himself, and that's the difference in this ball game right now.
Oh, but hats off to Rick Stubler. We talked about how he said, I'm going to give him a number of different looks to Kevin Federick, because if he gets comfortable, he's going to be able to be in that rhythm that we saw him have in the first quarter. But then all of a sudden, they made some adjustments. Obviously, the Toronto defense made some adjustments, and Kevin came out of that rhythm. You almost felt it just deflated, and all of a sudden, they just couldn't get that snowball rolling anymore.
We've had everything here in the first half. Sunshine, thunderstorms, lightning, wild plays, as hot, you name it. We'll take a break. Still to come, Chris Walby's playbook, and the fellas will break down highlights of the first half. Live from Calgary, you're watching the CFL on CBC.
CBC Playbook with Chris Walby.
Hey, it's second long. You got to get the ball downfield. What does the CBC playbook say to do? It says hook and go. I love this play. Mess with the DB's mind. Slot back just comes down, hooks about 10 yards. Then he gets the DB to freeze his feet, blows past him. Big catch. First down, keep the drive alive.
Does the receiver have to turn all the way back to the quarterback before he releases back up the field?
Great question, Kevin. The biggest thing right now is he's got to get that defensive back to stop his feet. So stutter step, whatever it takes to blow by him. But remember, you're getting help from the quarterback because he's going to do a little pump action to also freeze him. Good job. One way to play games with the secondary is to run the hook and go. If you can get the defender to play the hook and freeze his feet for just an instant, you'll be able to complete the deep pass patterns, or as we like to call them, the go route. On this play, watch what happens when the receiver looks back. The quarterback gives the pump fake, and the defender, thinking it's a hook pattern, stops backpedaling and jumps into the play. The White House says thank you very much, steps right past him, and heads up the field. Hey, this pattern's a great way to mess with the defensive back's minds. You get them thinking short, they stop their feet, bam, you blow by them, take them deep. Gotta love this, man. Make them bang their heads on the turf. See you next time.
It's the sounds. It's the emotion. It's the jubilation. It's the Toronto Argonauts, big city football.
For tickets, call 416-872-5000 or Ticketmaster.ca.
Well, the skies have cleared. It's now a beautiful evening here in Calgary at the half. The Argonauts out in front of the Stampeders by a score of 20-10. Back in our control studio, south end of the stadium with Sean Millington, Greg Frères. I'm Brian Williams. Let's have a look at the first half highlights. And Greg, Federick, the young quarterback, he started out very well in that first quarter.
I mean, and Darren talked about it at the beginning of the show, and he was saying, you know what, Jim Barker has a great play calling for him, get some confidence, some short passes. But then here we see him moving to his left, throwing with confidence to McGarity, set up this pass coming up to McDonald. We just threw it up, and we talked about McDonald making some unbelievable plays on the ball. And here we see it again, and he's making a name for himself.
Yeah, he had a good start. Now, swimmer Joanne Millar, an Olympian for this country. She's going to the Pan American Games next week. She's here in the booth with us. Her husband had a touchdown for the Toronto Argonauts.
Exactly. She was on hand to witness Mike Morreale, the new slimmed-down Mike Morreale. You're receiving a pass from Damon Allen, going downfield, burning the defense where they're in a zero coverage, which means there's no safety covering. Mike Morreale manages to get behind his man, and here we have an easy touchdown for Joanne to enjoy.
And what did Darren Flutie say? He's no longer Mike Millar. He's back to being Mike Morreale. She just cringed and left the studio. One more Toronto touchdown, and this one to Hunden. Damon Allen really shows how effective Allen is as he approaches 40 years of age.
Exactly. This is the difference between a veteran quarterback and the rookie. Frederick, here we have Damon Allen showing his leadership. He's scrambling. The play's taking a little time to develop here. There's nobody open downfield. He rolls out, buys himself the extra seconds he needs, finds Hunden, and the job's done. Touchdown.
You know, we have one more highlight. And if we're showing a highlight from that first half, if you're just joining us, we've got to see Maxie's long run and your touchdown.
Well,
you take
we
it.
talked about also, it's been a story in Calgary, is that the defense needs to step up and make some plays. But here we have, obviously, it's a little bit fumbled by Londra Johnson, picked up by the big guy, Maxie. But look at this move right here. That's a nice move by a very large man going down. It'd be nice. Last play of the half. Couldn't you get into the end zone, please? Holy cow. So close, but yes, so far.
How does Demetrius Maxie deke out John Humphreys? That's what I'd like to know. A defensive lineman beating a running back. Hey, there's something wrong with this.
Let me ask you, what about Pinball Clemens' comments to Michel Gadbout that he'd have to see how Damon Allen felt at halftime? Because other than the one or two drops, Allen looked so strong in that first half.
Yeah. Well, he's been looking great, but I mean, you're right. Those two drops, that almost led to a touchdown for Calgary. Damon's hand is a little sensitive. I talked to him earlier, and it just seems, he might be favoring just a little bit, and we're going to have to wait and see in the second half how much that really is going to affect him.
All right, speaking of the second half, we'll take a break and rejoin Mark Lee and Darren Flutie. You're watching the CFL on CBC. Morreale and the Toronto Argonauts with a 10-point lead here in Calgary.
Skies have cleared over McMahon Stadium. The Argos with a 20-10 lead as we get set for the third quarter of this football game. And Darren, I want to ask you about the Argo decision to go with for the touchdown with 8 seconds to go in the last play of the first half, when they could have kicked a 36-yard field goal.
Yeah, you're looking at a 36-yard field goal. You have 8 seconds left. The decision is, do you go for a shot in the end zone, which with 8 seconds is a little iffy. I don't think that's enough time to have that shot for the end zone. Looked like Damon was trying to throw a quick pass, which makes no sense. If you cut it down 10 yards, what's the difference between a 26-yarder and a 36-yarder? You know, Prefontaine should be able to make either of them.
I thought Maxie may have lateraled at the end there, but he smelled the end zone and got forced out by Palmer. Let's go down to the sidelines now, and here's Michel with Jim Barker.
Well, with Calgary coach Jim Barker. Jim, a lot of questions about Kevin Federick going into this game. How do you assess his play in the first half?
He did some good things, and he did some things he's got to do better. I mean, this is a team. Damon Allen's a dangerous guy. He's an incredible player. It's at his age. I mean, he's incredible for if he was 25. So we have to do a better job of holding the ball and sustaining it on offense. And we're still in the thing, so we just got to keep battling and hang together.
How about this play from Demetrius Maxie at the end?
It was a great play. I told him the thing that upsets him is he knows I would have scored.
Jim Barker. So seems to be pretty satisfied. His club trailing by 10 points, but we'll see how it goes in the second half. Brian, back to you.
As we get set for the second half, Prefontaine about to kick off. How about this ominous statistic for the Calgary Stampeders? In the last 23 games, they have won only once when trailing at halftime. Well, they turn the tables today. They're down by 10 as Prefontaine sends this kick along the ground, and it bounces out of bounds. Darnell McDonald letting it go.
A smart move by McDonald there, but I don't know if I would have quite risked that ball touching my shoulder pad there.
As we take a look at the first half stats, and the Argos clearly leading in the passing department on a 4-to-1 ratio.
Damon very impressive in the first half throwing the football. Contrary, Calgary really struggling. 96 net yards in the first half. That's just not enough to get it done.
Well, the penalty to the Argos on the kickoff will give Calgary good field position to start their first drive against Pinball Clemens and the Argos. They'll have the ball at the 45-yard line. As Kevin Federick goes back to work, he had a tremendous first quarter in this football game and then lost momentum in the second as the Stampeders were unable to build any drives on offense. Federick in the shotgun. Play action, rolling left. Here's pressure. He'll throw now downfield. Jump ball. Intercepted. Orlando Steinauer with the football on a tip drill for the Argos. It looked like Ivory was in there as well to break up the first offering from Federick, and here come the boos again. Steinauer.
Well, they go back to this kind of play action, rolling out to the left. A really poor decision. Look, he's throwing in between 3 or 4 Argonauts, and Orlando coming up with his 3rd interception in 2 football games. That was a poor decision right there by Kevin. You can't try to jam that football in there.
Steinauer with 2 interceptions last week against Winnipeg. Gets his 3rd here this evening. Playing with a broken ring finger on his right hand. And Federick, not the way you want to start the second half. And a confidence-crushing interception. First down for Damon Allen at midfield. Back to pass to the near sideline. Randy Bowles, who's gotten lots of work in this offense today, takes the pass and is forced out of bounds across the 45-yard line. Look at the pass distribution for Damon Allen, and you can see he's really favored the short game to the right side of the field.
He has favored the short game, but you get the, like I said, get the ball in the hands of the guys that can make the play. I can't believe the impact Randy Bowles is having on this football game. I've never seen him touch the football so much.
Bowles has already carried the ball 4 times, 2 pass receptions as Allen goes to the air again. It's a little low for James Hunden, and he can't hold on. It'll be 2nd down and 10 for the Argos. That's 57 yards offense for the big man Bowles.
That's a lot of yards for Randy here. Another good read by Damon. Just a touch low. Maybe a chance to make that play, but I'm sure Damon would like to put it up around his chest a little bit.
Damon Allen having trouble with the deep bruise on his passing hand, dropping the ball twice when attempting to pass in the first half. William Fields is back in the football game after being injured in the first half. Allen back to pass, stepping up in the pocket. He'll run, looking for a block from Morielli. He'll have the first down and more. And he finally slides out of bounds just shy of the 20-yard line. Davis Sanchez having to come up from the corner position to make the play, but Mike Morielli helping to spring his veteran quarterback with extra yards.
Yeah, but that's all Damon Allen. I feel like I'm watching Damon Allen 15 years ago. Doesn't look like he's lost a step. Here, it's a good situation for him to run the ball because they're actually in man-to-man coverage, all locked up on their receiver, so there's no one really spying Damon. And he loves that situation. I mean, that's perfect. And compare him to Doug. Doug used to do the same thing all the time, get man-to-man coverage, tuck it and run.
Comes into the game, the Argos leading rusher. He'll go to Bowles again on the ground. Bowles negotiating his way and finally tackled by Willie Fells after a gain of 6 yards. Big story here is how will Damon Allen deal with the pain in that throwing hand? Can he get through this entire game?
The main thing is for me to test it and see how far I can go as far as my pain threshold and see what I can take physically. But I feel good and I feel capable that I can play.
Clemens telling us he was concerned about the hand and him getting it re-injured on a helmet. 3rd time the Argos are inside the red zone. Flat pass. Humphreys makes a move to come inside, breaks a tackle, and is finally thrown out of bounds. Otis Floyd hanging on for dear life there on the spin move by the rookie.
great extra effort by Humphries. He didn't have the first down on the completion, but he turned it back inside. He knew how far he had to get for that first down. The defender barely holds on to him here, but he picks up a huge first down.
So the Argos threatening first down from the 10-yard line of the Stampeders. William Fields late onto the field at the halfback spot. Shotgun rolling right. It's Allen now throwing it back against the grain. Wide open. Humphrey. Touchdown. Toronto. Backside.
More great play calling, especially down near the red zone. The Argos have been impressive besides the fumbles by Damon with their play calling in the end zone. Here, Humphrey sneaks out the backside. No one covering him, all alone. I mean, it was easy toss and catch, but the play calling is just terrific. Here you see Damon looking right, and the back sets up, blocks for a second, then releases. Nobody near him. Boy, you dream about those.
The point after is good from Noel Prefontaine. The Toronto Argonauts cashing in on 14 points off 2 Calgary turnovers, building a 27-10 lead.
It's the sounds. It's the emotion. It's the jubilation. It's the Toronto Argonauts, big city football.
For tickets, call 416-872-5000 or Ticketmaster.ca.
John Humphrey, the rookie out of Texas A&M, with his second touchdown of his young CFL rookie season. Prefontaine set to kick it off. A gloriously sunny second half here in Calgary. The storm clouds have moved away. It's Darnell McDonald starting at his own 10-yard line. Up the hash marks. Tries to make a move on Winters, and he didn't buy it. Flags are down behind the play. As we take one more look at Humphrey's touchdown.
A little bit of deception used on this touchdown, no question about it. A big play to stick the ball in the end zone. But here you see Damon. He's going to roll right and look right, and all the defenders are going to respect that on this side. Humphrey's just going to set like he's almost blocking and come out of the backfield and be all alone. No one touches him. Oh, wide open, wide open. You can't draw it up any better. That's great play calling in the red zone.
So the Argos with 17 unanswered points after a 10-10 tie in that opening half. It's 27-10, and Federick stays in the football game. The holding call will move Calgary back to its own 20. First down. They'll go conservative. Handoff. Saladin McCullough puts his head down and barrels across the right side on a big first down gain. Close to the first down. Marvin Thomas making the tackle for the Argos. And there's the passing distribution, Darren, for Kevin Federick. And you can see he's only got one completion deep.
Yeah, it's just he's not getting enough yards on his passing completions. You got to wonder how long they're going to stick with Kevin for this football game, too. I think that's a question.
Well, Scott Milanovic, of course, has moved to the number 2 spot with the injury to Marcus Crandall, but he hasn't had many reps with the first team. On the ground again, McCullough puts his head down on the 2nd and 2 situation. Michael Fletcher is right there as the collision comes at the line of scrimmage. But Jim Barker telling us before the game he will not hesitate to bring in Milanovic despite his greenness.
Yeah, we have a game plan where he's comfortable. A lot of things that he did in the XFL that are applicable here. So, will he be ready to play? Yeah, he'll be ready to play, and he'll be expected to perform at a high level. And I wish he could have had a little more time, but that's the nature of the business.
Until this week, he didn't get any reps, Milanovic, with the first team. He only got about 25 in practice, as they gave most of them to Kevin Federick. It is a third down situation for the Stampeders, and they will gamble at their own 30-yard line. Federick with some help from Reginbald crashing, and it looks like he'll be close to the first down yardage. But what a gamble deep in your own zone. with 10.5 minutes still to go in the third quarter.
Well, you're down by 17. You desperately need a first down in the second half, so I think it's a good call. It's less than a yard. You should be able to get it on quarterback sneak with that yard gap between the offensive and defensive line.
Good push from the Stampeder offensive line, and they'll have the first down. Calgary with just 7 first downs in this game compared to 15 for the Argos. As Jim Barker searches his ready list for some plays to build some momentum and confidence in this young quarterback. Federick looking in the pocket. Complete. Wayne McGarity diving across the 40-yard line, close to another Calgary first down. Orlando Steinauer making the tackle for the Argos.
Again, good play calling, a nice conservative pass by Federick. But Toronto's defense is really confusing them. You can almost see it with the pre-snap looks. They're changing formations into what looks like a man coverage into zone coverage. And I'm sure that's given Federick some problems.
McGarity with 5 touchdowns so far this season coming into this football game, tied for second in the CFL in the touchdown department with Copeland of Montreal. McCullough tries to cut off tackle, and there's no going there as Noah Cantor and Antonius Bonner seal the line of scrimmage on that 2nd and 2 situation. So once again, Calgary will be forced into a third down situation and be about a yard shy of the first down marker.
Yeah, this one looks a little bit further than the last one they went for, but again, I think they're in a situation where they have to go for it. They need some momentum. They need to move the football.
Barker using this measurement time to convey his instructions to Federick. And it will be third down and about a yard.
Almost a full yard on this one, so I don't know if they can do the quarterback sneak this time. But if they get a push like they did last time, he'll be able to get the yard.
Barker's an aggressive coach. Remember, they went for it in the first game in overtime 3 times inside the 3-yard line and couldn't do it. They'll go again here. Federick, left side, and he'll have the Calgary first down. So the Stampeders in their second offensive series of this second half continue to move the yardsticks and hold on to the football.
Yeah, this time they just spread all their receivers and backs to get the defensive players out of the impact line of scrimmage, and he just sneaks it for the yard. Another good push by the offensive line.
Federick is a gritty quarterback. We talked about that in the first half. He's not afraid to get his nose bruised. This drive starting at the Calgary 21. It's first down Calgary at the 44. Play action now. Federick wants to go deep down the sideline. Darnell McDonald fends off Kevin Scott for the big Calgary reception as they move into Argo territory.
Well, here Kevin finally is getting a look where he has one-on-one coverage, weak side with Darnell McDonald against Kevin Scott. And geez, that reminds me of Alan Pitts so much, using his body to shield off the defender and making the catch. They catch him in man coverage, you got to go to McDonald. He's got the height advantage and the physical advantage against Kevin Scott.
Yes, and it's only his 2nd catch of the game at the touchdown in that battle in the end zone for the first quarter. The big man comes up big with a first down. Play action, rolling right, there's pressure. Federick throwing, it's complete. Albert Connell breaks the tackle on Adrian Smith and struggles close to the first down marker at the 30-yard line. There's the grit and the determination in Albert Connell that we've seen in a lot of blocking, and finally he makes his first catch of the game and turns it into a near first down.
Yeah, this is a play where he knows he's going to get hit. The defender hung outside. He knows he's going to take a hit on a high pass, and yet keeps his feet. You can see his strength there and determination, as you said.
I'm going to measure the football on the play as they bring the yardsticks out to the far hash marks. Stampeders now on the 7th play of this drive that began in their own zone at the 21. And it looks like it'll be just inches short.
This is a really big drive for Calgary. I think they have to come away with a touchdown. They can't settle for a field goal here. I'd like to see them stick it in the end zone, get it down to 10.
2nd down and inches. Ball just across the Argo 31-yard line. Federick marching the Stampeders here in the third quarter. 6 receivers set, empty backfield. Federick will dive across the right guard, and he'll have the first down. There's 3 quarterback sneaks on this series. There's the 6', 205-pound Brigham Young graduate continues to move the football.
he's come back well off that what we thought was a poor interception. At least I thought was a poor interception he threw into coverage. He comes back well. It shows he's kept his confidence, which is pretty impressive for a young kid.
1st and 10, ball at the Argo 29-yard line. Federick in the shotgun. Here comes the blitz, throwing to the far sideline. It's complete to McDonald, or yes, he's got it. Darnell McDonald reaching for his 3rd catch of the game with Mike Fletcher, the linebacker, in coverage.
They're in zone coverage on this one, and Darnell just kind of hangs near the sideline. Fletcher almost gets there in time, but that's nice job of controlling the football, first of all, but keeping his foot in bounds.
2nd down and 2 yards to go. Stampeders at the 21 of Toronto. Empty backfield, no, they'll keep McCullough. Now they'll flare him out. Federick backside. It's complete to McDonald again, and he'll have the Calgary 1st down. So 3 big catches for Darnell McDonald in this series alone, as Federick finds the big target from last week, who had 11 catches.
Yeah, Kevin dropped back on this one looking left, and he saw the blitz late, realized he had man-to-man coverage, and said, I'm going back to my go-to guy. I'll throw it towards him. He'll make the play. And Darnell again, as you said, with his 3rd catch on the drive. And
11th play of this Stampeder drive. 1st down, the ball on the Toronto 16. In the shotgun, Federick. Time, he'll move now. There's Bonner tracking him down along with Eric England as he gets just across the line of scrimmage and loses his hat in the process. A lot of pressure on this young man, as we talked about earlier in the broadcast. The son of the team owner, trying to establish his credentials in this league.
Argos obviously are starting to worry about Darnell McDonald. They're dropping the halfback over there to help the cornerback. And you can see play side now. He's going to have to start going to his 3 receiver side as opposed to going back to McDonald.
The game is won on the scramble by Federick. 2nd down and 9. And a timeout has been called by the young quarterback as he heads to the sidelines to confer with Jim Barker. He's been a tough quarterback in his short appearances this season. Against Montreal, they sacked him 4 times, but he came back and completed 72% of his passes.
You can't knock the kid's desire and determination and heart. You know, what it comes down to is he's young and he's inexperienced, and the only way to get better is to get your playing time.
Really had the ball stripped by Bonner there, took a shot on the chin, lost his helmet, but he's back for more in this 2nd and 9 situation. Wisely taking a timeout when he was confused by the Argo alignment, and this Argo defense is always moving, always changing the complexion. Drive now nearly 7 minutes long. Here comes the blitz on Federick. He avoids it. Now he's scrambling for his life, gets the ball away, and it's incomplete. Intended for Albert Connell, but the Argos brought the house. Thomas finally knocking the young quarterback down. It'll be a 3rd down.
Yeah, they get pressure on him this time. They're in a zero coverage again, man-to-man, but he doesn't have time to make his decision. Scrambles a little bit, and smart job of just throwing the football away. Take your 3 points. We'll get the ball back eventually and try to stick it in the end zone.
Iban and Fletcher coming off the edge, and then Marvin Thomas. Look at the big man closing on the quarterback and then riding him into the turf. This field goal attempt for McLaughlin from the 22-yard line. Hits the ball hard and true. The field goal is good, and so the Stampeders take more than 7 minutes off the clock and get a field goal to show for Federick's long drive. Stampeders cut the Toronto lead to 2 converted touchdowns on the field goal by McLaughlin, and it's getting close to talk about the warrior of the game. And might this man, Randy Bowles, be a choice? He's been strong on the ground and through the air. Kevin Federick, he's been tough as nails. And how about this man playing with the injured hand, Damon Allen? The kickoff coming to Livingston inside the 10-yard line, coming to the wide side of the field. Flags are down. Argo's trying to set up a wall. He's got some blocks. Here comes Willie Fells driving Livingston out of bounds, short of the 50-yard line, but flags back at the 15.
Pretty obvious clip at the point of impact there.
Chuck Winters looked like he was the man with the illegal block as we await the ruling, a 69-yard kickoff and a 41-yard return by Livingston. He's already had one big one pulled back.
Illegal block. Toronto 32. First down.
It is Chuck Winters with the illegal block. When we come back, the Argos scrimmaging deep in their own end in the third quarter. Back in Calgary, the Stampeder trainer Pat Clayton looking at the jaw of quarterback Kevin Federick after he took that shot on the scramble in the last series.
Yeah, I don't know if he's trying to see if his senses are all there or maybe he's got a little banged up jaw.
Took a couple of good shots. Marvin Thomas rode him into the turf on that last scramble. Bonner got him once. The Argos now in tough field position as the Stampeders try to hold them here. Humphrey, nowhere to go. He's swarmed and driven back. Otis Floyd, who missed last week's game because of a family emergency, came back there with a big tackle.
Geez, just when we thought Humphrey was making a dent in his yards per carry, gets hit for a couple-yard loss here. The penalties on special teams are really hurting both teams. I mean, this is a big change of field position on that clip on the kickoff, puts them back inside their own 10.
Willie Fells joining the linebacker crew with Otis Floyd. The fans now rising up. Argos in their worst field position of the football game. Allen now scrambling for his life, and he's tracked down. It's Antoine Young, the rookie from San Diego State, who plays the boundary. He's tough as nails against the run, and Pinball was lamenting that yesterday.
Yeah, about Pinball was going on about worrying about their defensive front four, but you can really feel the change in momentum, at least I think I feel it up here in the booth, that Calgary's starting to get something a little going with that last drive. Then they pinned them deep in their own end, and now they're going to have great field position after this punt.
So they hold the Argos. This Calgary defense, #1 in the CFL, allowing just 83 first downs coming into the football game. Will the Argos give up a safety here and try to improve the field position? No, it's a shank punt from Prefontaine, bouncing at the 35. A chance for McGarity now across the 50, weaving, and he's dropped across the 45-yard line, and there's a flag on the play. The dangerous McGarity jumping on that unusually short punt from Prefontaine.
It's in the position of a no yards penalty, but it came a little bit late. If it's against Calgary, it would ruin some great field position, but we'll have to wait and see.
No yards. Toronto 23. First down.
So Livingston caught for no yards, and Federick will have another good field position to start. As we look at the home record for the Stampeders, it used to be almost a cinch here. First in the West 8 times back in the 90s, but lately home field has not been an advantage. Here's Federick on the ground, up the gut, big hole, turning to the right, spinning. It's McCullough, and the Argo defense reacting there. It looked like a gaping hole left as McCullough cut back up to the right.
It's a good first down play. McCullough picks up 6. They're in a good position, 2nd and 4. Anytime you get into 2nd and 10 or more, you're in deep trouble. Here, 2nd and 4, the playbook's wide open. You can do a lot of things.
The Stampeders with a chance to take advantage of that field position shift. Defense stopping the Argos deep in their own zone, and now Federick with a high hitch pass. It's a double pass deep downfield and too far. Darnell McDonald was open down the far sideline, and the flea flicker trick play didn't work.
Well, with that field position, I think that's a tremendous call. And as you can see, it's a backwards pass to Donnie Blair, who's got a really good arm. I know I played with him in Edmonton, and it would have taken a good throw to hit him because Toronto played in the secondary fairly well there. But it's worth taking a shot for sure.
Don Blair didn't even find the laces on that one. He just pitched the ball a deep pass just too far for an open Darnell McDonald. So it's a 3rd down for Calgary. 5 yards to go. McLaughlin will try this from the 45-yard line. It'll be his longest of the year if he gets it. Hits it hard, a line drive, shank to the left, and it'll bounce out of bounds and into touch for a single point. So McLaughlin's had trouble outside the 40-yard line this year. He had one run back last week, 115 yards for a touchdown, and This one sails through the end zone for a single point. Tomorrow on CBC, the conclusion to the World Aquatics Championships in Barcelona, featuring Canada's women's water polo team in their bronze medal match, and swimming stars Ian Thorpe of Australia, Michael Phelps of the U.S. coming your way at 4 Eastern on CBC. So the Argos dodge a chance there after the field position switch, and Calgary unable to hit the end zone. For the 30th consecutive game, more than 30,000 fans in the house here at McMahon in the sunshine this afternoon. 30,976. This match between the Stampeders and the Argonauts. Back to pass. Allen has trouble again with his grip. They'll rule it incomplete. His arm was in the forward motion, but that's the 3rd time we've seen the veteran quarterback with trouble gripping the ball. Demetrius Maxey there with pressure.
Well, we're not seeing the Calgary quarterback have this trouble, so the only thing it can be, it's got to be the bruise on the top of his hand, giving him some trouble gripping the football. But as we've mentioned before, the balls are a tad slippery, so maybe it's a combination of his hand issue and that slickness of the football.
Yeah, they've improved the grip or the texture of the laces, but sometimes these new balls, even though they're rubbed down by the officials with a solution, still have a slick surface. Allen to pass again. This time he's got some zip on it. The ball sails through the hands of Tony Miles. In double coverage there, George White, the linebacker, dropping off on the play for Calgary. And so Toronto will have to punt.
Damon really put some zip on this one. Tony's got to recognize zone coverage here and really sit it down quick. Damon was expecting him just to turn and sit it down, and Tony started to break out a little bit like it was man coverage.
George White awfully close to intercepting that pass as Allen goes to the sidelines. Wayne McGarity, the lone man back to return this punt from Noel Prefontaine. McGarity taking one back 70 yards for a touchdown already this year. The number 2 punt return man in the CFL. Behind Dante Green of Montreal. He'll take this one at his own 17-yard line, cutting to the middle of the field. And he's tracked down from behind Chuck Winters and Chris Hardy making the tackle for the Argos, limiting the return to 16 yards on the play. The Argos season records since the back-to-back Grey Cup championship years of 96 and 97, and they have done no better than the 9-9 record that Jim Barker posted back in 1999, a record that saw him fired.
You know, through those years, and I played against them through those years, they've always struggled offensively. They consistently have had a pretty good defense, as they have this year.
So Federick, who had a nice drive, the second series of this half, has lots of time. Here's the screen pass. McCullough out of the backfield. Look at Mike O'Shea from behind, and there are more flags on the play. And it may well be a face mask. 15 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. Big Mike O'Shea, who has looked rejuvenated, played a couple of years ago with a torn ACL, had some surgery on it, and he's come back with lots of sprite.
Mike had a
Major foul, face mask, Toronto 50.
He did
First
get the
down.
face mask call there, but he's all over the football field, very mobile. He looks like he's running great. I don't know where he catches him on the face mask. Looks like he grabbed the bat. Oh, he did catch the corner of his face mask. And it's of the 15-yard variety, meaning it was flagrant.
Well, the heart and soul of this Argo defense, the face masking call, and so the Stampeders benefit first down at their own 50 now. Federick, time again in the pocket, throwing to the near sideline. It's complete to a leaping Darnell McDonald, and he's thrown out of bounds. Kevin Scott, the veteran rookie, we'll call him, drafted in the 4th round by the Detroit Lions of the NFL 12 years ago.
Yeah,
played for the Arena League last year in Detroit, beaten there by McDonald. 1 quarter of football to go in regulation time. A 13-point lead for the Argonauts. This game is not over yet as Calgary's found some new life here in the second half as we take a look at the third quarter poll.
Yeah, again, you see a big discrepancy with yards, net yards, Argos, but Calgary's come alive. I think Federic's found his go-to man in Darnell McDonald.
Yes, and they appear to be picking on 34-year-old rookie Kevin Scott at the cornerback. Here's a hitch pass. McGarity with some blocks is forced out of bounds just shy of the first down. That was what really made this offense hum last week against Montreal. Short passes and good blocking by the other receivers of the Stampeders.
Yeah, they're very aggressive blocks, but again, you're going to see Federic take a hit here. He's getting beat up a little bit, but he does get the ball away, and the hit screens become a big part of this offense.
Right there, took a shot again, right in the face. Eric England and Wayne Weathers, and he looked a little woozy.
He's down.
Now he's down on one knee, and he's going to have to come out for 3 plays.
I think he's out there like Pluto right now. He doesn't know where he is.
That's 2 headshots inside of the last 5 minutes for Kevin Federic, who has paid a price, and now Scott Milanovich is getting ready to warm on the Calgary bench. The 30-year-old former XFL backup to Tommy Maddox with the LA Extreme. Jim Barker's offense there. Another look at the shot, a headshot from Eric England.
It's almost a tad too much there with your head-to-head shot on a quarterback, but Coach Barker seems to think he has a lot of confidence in Milanovich, so we'll see pretty quickly how good he is.
Pat Clayton looking into the eyes of the dazed Calgary quarterback, and Scott Milanovich has not been throwing or warming on the sidelines until this point of the game, the fourth quarter. Remember, he had only about 25 snaps in practice this week as the Stampeders endeavored to get Kevin Federic ready for this game. This was the scene in 2001, the LA Extreme XFL, and look at this. Jermaine Copeland on the receiving end of this pass from Milanovich. He's well familiar with the Calgary offense. Barker using the same offense here as he did 2 years ago in the XFL, although some of the terminology is a little different because there's one extra defensive back out there in the CFL.
Yeah, we've talked to Coach Barker over the last couple weeks about Scott. He has all the confidence in the world. It was a question of him being healthy enough to be into the football game, so hopefully he's healthy enough. He knows the offense.
Tough break. You can see Marcus Crandall on the sidelines. He went out last week with a hamstring injury. Now the number 2 quarterback, Federic, appears to be injured with a head injury, and now they go to number 3. This man, Scott Milanovich, when we come back. Scott Milanovich still warming on the Calgary sideline. The first player ever drafted in the XFL. He was the number 2 man to XFL MVP Tommy Maddox. As we look at Kevin Federic, the starter today, finally being helped to the sideline after having a head injury. There's Marcus Crandall watching in his street clothes after injuring his hamstring against Montreal. So a tough break for the Calgary Stampeders in terms of their quarterbacks. Injuries taking a toll. And now Scott Milanovich, without much time to get ready, will be thrust into the starting position and into the Calgary huddle. He comes with pretty good football pedigree. He was Maryland's all-time leading passer, breaking Boomer Esiason's records with over 650 completions and 49 touchdown passes. Argo showing blitz on the first play for Milanovich, and here they come. Milanovich with a quick release. It's high, intended for Darnell McDonald, and there's a flag on the play. Marvin Thomas may have been quick to move along the line of scrimmage, but no question the Argos putting the heat on Milanovich.
Offside.
Well, it's the natural.
Number 98. First down.
Natural thing to do. The new quarterback comes in. You want to put pressure on him, see how he reacts. But Scott looks very comfortable. I mean, he knew he had the offsides here, and he wants to make a big play. He's going to pump it out to his favorite receiver here. So I wouldn't blitz this guy too much. He looks too comfortable right away.
Yes. Milanovich going to his old XFL teammate, Darnell McDonald, on the first play. It'll be 1st and 10. This time, lots of time. Milanovich throwing to the wide sideline on a one-hopper. Wide open. Wayne McGarity couldn't come back to the football.
Well, this is a long throw. I'm sure he didn't make in the XFL, all the way across the field to the sideline. Just barely skips, and you see McGarrity's all alone.
You got to have that, Darren.
Got to make that grab, come back to it. I mean, you can't sit there and wait for the football. Come back and at least make the catch.
So it's 2nd and 10. Stampeders with a chance here to score and close the gap. The Argo offense has been quiet in the shotgun. Here comes the blitz again. Milanovic dumps it off. It's complete. McCullough now looking for some blocks. He'll have first down territory as he's driven out of bounds by Mike O'Shea right at the first down marker. So another XFL teammate from Los Angeles figuring in the offense of Scott Milanovic.
Again, a great play call on the part of the Calgary offense, setting up this screen, getting it to McCullough. I mean, McCullough was the first player at Oregon to rush for over 2,000 yards. This kid's got some talent. And like you said, he's from the Extreme Football League. So very familiar with him as far as Coach Barker's concerned.
Out of football since that championship won by the Extreme. Almost 2 years out of football, still finding his way into top football fitness. It's a first down for Calgary. A handoff from the shotgun. McCullough reaching, but hard going there as Michael Fletcher was quick to fill from the linebacker position. As we update your Canadian Tire game notes, Mr. Flutie.
Well, game notes. Let's see how they're going. Toronto offense. Calgary offense. Smart choices. Federic, little inconsistent. Injured now, and Milanovic is in. Did they pressure the quarterback enough? 0 QB sacks, so I guess that answers that question.
Federic, though, 8 for 10 in the second half before the head injury. You have to feel for him as he seemed to have rekindled his game. Here's Milanovic now. Lots of time in the pocket. Flares it out. Reginbald is hit immediately. Breaks the tackle by Clifford Ivory and gets past Adrian Smith. Fighting his way back to, it looks like, the original line of scrimmage. The quick Argo defenders in there to seal that play on the big back.
Yeah, again, a pretty conservative play call. And we got someone down on the field. I can't see who it is, a Stampeder. Is it Albert Connell, who was hurt earlier in the season and missed 2 football games, known for his downfield blocking?
Yes, he had the meniscus injury in his knee after catching that 26-yard touchdown pass against Edmonton. Missed 2 games. He actually wanted to come back sooner and aggravated in practice 2 weeks ago. He's a football player known for his durability. Never missed more than 1 game in a row in the National Football League and in college. And as I said earlier in the broadcast, they've been getting to call him Splat Albert because of the big blocks he's been delivering as a receiver. And this doesn't look good as he's slow to get up.
Yeah, he had the big 100-yard football game, first game out of the season as far as receiving yards, but lately he's been known more for his downfield blocking. But he's always a threat out there as a receiver. He complements McDonald and McGarity very well. So this is going to hurt him with him out of the offense, no question.
So Albert Connell now being helped off the field, and he really needs assistance here, it looks like, Darren, as we take one more look at the play.
Well, it certainly doesn't look good. I don't know. He's coming back and making a nice block there. You can't really see it. It must be some type of leg or knee. It could be the same injury he had earlier. I'd hate to comment on it because I'm not sure what's going on with him. But he needs a lot of help to get off the field. That's not a good sign.
So more bad news for this Calgary offense. Federic out with a head injury. Laterio Rochelle, number 85, helping his teammate Albert Connell off with what looks like a serious leg injury. So the Stampeders will attempt this field goal from the 31-yard line. McLaughlin trouble outside the 40 on his last attempt, wide. Don Blair with the pin, and it's routine. McLaughlin splits the uprights, and the Stampeders draw to within 10 points of Toronto with 12:04 left to play. Back at McMahon Stadium, let's go down to the Calgary sideline. Here's an update on Kevin Federic with Michelle.
Thanks a lot, Mark. From what we can tell right now, about every person on the Calgary Stampeder medical staff has been over to see Kevin Federic. From what we can tell, though, they've been checking his neck. He still seems to be foggy. So for the moment, it seems doubtful that we'll see him again.
Surprised there was no penalty on that, Michelle. The head contact on the quarterback. Usually when a quarterback is alone in the pocket and there is any head contact or contact below the knees, there's a penalty. But this is the scene on the Stampeder bench
Calgary number 90.
as they prepare to move Albert Connell to the Calgary locker room, and this
you hate to see that, Mark.
Too bad.
Yeah, I mean, a great football player like that, you hate to see this happen.
Delicately putting Albert Connell on the ATV vehicle. 1st and 5, Toronto complete. Tony Miles turning the Calgary defender, Anthony Pryor, inside out as they move to the sideline, and a big Toronto first down across midfield. That's his speed and his agility coming to the fore.
Yeah, he knows before he catches this football what he's going to do with the move. He has the, and here's the offensive keys for the Argonauts. Keep down with Damon healthy. Damon's been healthy. The ball slipped out of his hands a little bit. Confused Federick. I think they did that more than enough, and defense has played very well.
Damon Allen continues to be the key at the age of 40 as he makes a beautiful fake there, rolling right pressure from AJ, and the ball is errant as Mike Morielli came back inside and the pass sailed to the sideline. But Allen there pressured two veterans, a 38-year-old and a man about to turn 40 in 3 days, still playing at the top of their games.
Two pretty great football players right there. Damon making a nice play fake here. I thought he had the running back on a little quick pass. Actually, I thought the running back had the ball to begin with, but AJ showing some speed.
So it's incomplete, and it'll be 2nd and 10. Argos. Damon Allen with 7 touchdown passes and just 1 interception in his last 3 games. Terrific numbers. Throwing to the far sideline, it's bobbled, incomplete. James Hunden had it hit him right in the numbers, and it popped out as William Fields, who was shaken up earlier in the football game, comes back to help break it up.
Well, Damon again putting great zip on the football to that wide side out. A ball Hunden should have had and maybe could have converted to a big first down. Toronto's got to start moving the football a little bit to keep this lead, but I know he wishes he had that one back. He should have caught that football.
Well, Fields pulling Hunden away from the ball as he tried to catch the rebound. So a heads-up play by the Calgary cornerback, and Noel Prefontaine will stand inside his 45 to deliver this punt with 10:26 to go in the football game. The Argos in a 10-point lead. Angling it to the far sideline and out of bounds. No chance for a return by Wayne McGarity. So Scott Milanovic goes on offense. Albert Connell heads to sickbay in Calgary. Jim Barker and the Stampeders down by 10 to Toronto with 10:19 to go in the 4th quarter. Lots of time as Barker will now have to nurture some new recruits. Ontario Rochelle is now in at wide receiver. The injured Albert Connell and this man, Scott Milanovic, with barely a grasp on the Calgary playbook, thrust into action with the injury to Kevin Federick. And bad field position to start his 2nd drive. Lots of time. Milanovic fires it. Strike. It's good. Don Blair across the 20-yard line, reaching. He'll have a first down. Milanovic there throwing with confidence, finding the Calgary veteran across the middle.
A nice throw by Milanovic, hitting Donnie Blair, coming across the middle wide open. Toronto in this instance going away from their pressure defense, now sitting back in a zone and saying, hey, listen, you got to go over 100 yards on this drive to stick it in. Let's see what you can do.
Don Blair's 2nd catch of the football game for 20 yards. Milanovic's numbers pretty decent to start with, but he's got a lot of real estate to go. First down at his own 20. Lots of time in the pocket, throwing deep. It's intercepted. Orlando Steinauer makes a move on our lane and heads for the end zone to the 5. Touchdown, Toronto. A back-breaking interception by the Toronto safety. His 4th of the season. A 42-yard touchdown return.
Well, we talked about the Argos secondary before the football game. They had 5 interceptions last week, and again, Clifford Ivory turned one into a touchdown last week. This week he throws into coverage, he overthrows his receiver. Steinhauer's right there, untouched into the end zone. I'm impressed with Toronto's defense scores as many points as their offense does almost.
So Steinauer celebrating his 4th interception. That will tie him for the league lead with Adrian Smith. But a big miscue by Scott Milanovic as he sailed his pass, and now getting instruction from Jim Barker on the sideline. The 10-point lead is now 17 with the point after, but there's a time count violation from the Argos, and they'll move the ball back and try again. Baker still looking relaxed, obviously trying to instill some confidence in Milanovic. This has got to be tough for the quarterback, coming in and being pushed into action without much time to practice. Prefontaine's point after is good. And so the Argos now with breathing room on the big 42-yard interception return. Orlando Steinauer savoring his 4th touchdown. That one for a 4th interception. That one for a touchdown, as turnovers are killing the Calgary Stampeders this evening. 21 Argo points compared to 3 for the Stampeders. Last week it was special teams. 14 points for Montreal, doing in the Stampeders.
Yeah, they're finding ways to shoot themselves in the foot, and the 21 points off of turnovers. I mean, that's the difference in the football game tonight.
A 17-point lead for the Argos with 8:50 to go. McDonald and McGarity, the 2 returners back, as we take another look at the miscue from Milanovic.
Boy, it's not bad enough as a quarterback coming into this situation. You throw the interception, and then you get all the way run back for a touchdown. But if you have the look of what happens to Milanovic after he throws this pass, Wayne Weathers, you're taught this as a defensive lineman. Once you get the interception, first guy you look up is the quarterback, and he holds on to him a little bit, beats him up a little bit. I mean,
a bit of a mugging, actually.
Well, it wasn't called, so it never happened.
It's McDonald at his own 11-yard line, the rangy receiver, crossing the 30, and then straighten right up. Chuck Winters and Kevin Iben there for the Argos. A 21-yard return, and Calgary back to square one as Milanovic returns to the field, down 17 points, checking his ready list on his wristband. And how difficult is this for a quarterback to come in and call blocking assignments, formations, and get the routes right?
Well, he should have some background because he's played with this offense before. The problem is now you can't have the patience. Coach Barker can't have the patience to really set up a drive. You're down 17 points. There's only 8.5 minutes left. He's got to take some chances and force the football, and that's when he's going to get into trouble.
Argo showing blitz again. In the shotgun, Milanovic, they drop off. 3-man rush. Milanovic floating it deep downfield. McGarity is open. Wayne McGarity behind Antonius Bonner, and he's finally hog-tied across the 30. So what an answer from Milanovic. After the interception, he goes deep.
I'm surprised the Argos have put their defense in this situation where they have no help deep. But that's their best cover guy, at least I feel Bonner is, but McGarity runs right by him. Well-thrown football, a big play, and that shows that he can come back after throwing that interception and have the confidence to make a big throw.
A 51-yard pass and run play from Milanovic to McGarity, and a Calgary first down. McGarity already over 100 yards now on 5 catches as he continues to light up this league. Milanovic complete again underneath. It's Don Blair turning, finally ridden into the turf by Steinauer, but he'll have another Calgary first down. So this offense ignited after that huge interception for a touchdown by Steinauer.
Yeah, that big catch by McGarity leads to them to be a little more conservative, get Donnie the ball, and Donnie makes some nice moves there to pick up the first down. Nice little shake and bake there. He's wearing number 82. What do you expect?
Third catch of the game for Blair. First down, Stampeders at the 17 of Toronto. Milanovic in the pocket, fires it near side. It's complete to Darnell McDonald, but he doesn't go anywhere as it's quickly sealed by Steinauer. It'll be second down, Calgary. Gain of 5 on the play.
Did he gain 5 or did he just gain about a half a yard? I think he got on this play. Milanovic looks very comfortable in the pocket here, so...
Yeah, you're right. They're going to mark it back, his forward progress.
Yeah.
So it's barely a yard on the play. 2nd and 9, let's make it. Stampeders inside the red zone with a chance to score. Milanovic with authority to the near sideline. It's complete to Darnell McDonald right at the first down marker. Where they spot the ball will be close. I think he's short.
I hate to criticize a receiver that is just playing outstanding, catching everything that comes near him, but you see him as he makes this catch, he tries to come backwards to make a play to get to the first down instead of maybe just stepping up right where he could have been closer to the first down. Now they have about 2 yards to go, where I thought he was right at the marker when he caught the football.
3rd and 2 for the gambling Stampeders. Milanovic up behind Jamie Crysdale at center. Ball on the 9-yard line. He's going to throw, fumbling with it, throws it away. It's intercepted. Oh, what a miscue. Kenny Wheaton picks up the errant pass, and the Argos take over on another turnover.
Well, Scott had a little case of the Damon Allen here where the ball slipped out of his hand, so he didn't get it up. They wanted to take advantage of Darnell McDonald 1-on-1 again down near the goal line. But again, there's a little bit of the slippery football, so he gets it away late and just heaves it in desperation, and it's picked off.
You wanted to throw on the 1-step drop.
Yeah, he was going to take advantage of that McDonald height advantage out on the cornerback again, but the ball just slipped right out of his hand.
Well, it was a turnover nonetheless on downs, although the Argos will get a little bit of better field position at their own 20-yard line. What looked like a promising drive led by Scott Milanovic, evaporating on his 2nd interception of the game. On the ground, the Argos come up the middle again. And Jeff Johnson from York University into the ball game now, as Randy Bowles has not seen much action here in the late going of the 2nd half. It's the all-time mark we're talking about. Damon Allen coming in just shy of 60,000 to join Warren Moon and Dan Marino. He needed 362 coming into this football game, and he may be hard pressed. He's got 147 yards, make that 215 in total. So a ways to go for Damon Allen.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect him,
Toronto number 9, still 2nd down,
to be throwing the ball as much with this 17-point lead with 4.5 to go, but they still have to move the football. 4.5 minutes in the Canadian Football League can seem like an eternity, so there's still time left for Calgary.
So Damon needs 147 yards to reach the 60,000 mark with 4.5 minutes to go in regulation time, and the Argos comfortably in front by 17 points. 2nd down and 12, Argos. Allen can't find a receiver open. He'll try to run, and he goes nowhere. Demetrius Maxey, quick to make the sack. And it'll be a punt situation.
Well, they're getting the pressure on Damon now a little bit. It may be a case of too little, too late. Damon, you know, his hand's banged up. He's almost 40 years old, but he's still willing to tuck it and try to make a play when everything breaks down.
So Maxey with his 2nd sack of the season. You wonder if the Argos might consider resting Damon Allen now. That hand giving him some problems, and the Argos with a pretty good lead.
I would think that would be a wise move. Maybe one more stop here on the Calgary offense, and you may see someone else come in for the Argos.
Prefontaine from the 1. The block was on. He gets it away. West Lysak was close. Here's McGarity now at midfield. Oh, what speed! And what a move! Cracking a seam. He could go all the way. Antonius Bonner can't get there. Wayne McGarity with a thrilling 60-yard punt return for a touchdown. His 2nd of the CFL season.
I don't know who he put the move on at around the 45 or 50-yard line, but boy, he shook him and he made that move at full speed. So much for Damon Allen getting out of the football game. We got a game on right now. Watch this move, an incredible full speed move right there, and then it's just all speed. Antonius Bonner tries to catch up to him, but he smells the end zone. He's not getting caught.
What an explosion of speed from from a near stop to full flight, and McGarity has his second punt return for a touchdown this year. Fred Fateri offering congratulations on the Stampeder bench. So with 3:41 to go, the point after from McLaughlin is good. And yes, we have a football game, a 10-point lead now for Toronto. This young rookie out of Texas burns the Argos, his 6th touchdown of the CFL season.
Prefontaine's punts have really been low, which doesn't give your cover team a lot of time to get down there. But wow, as they say, there's no substitute for speed. He's making those moves at full speed, and then here he sees daylight, and Bonner's a pretty fast defensive back. Can't catch him though.
There's the all-purpose man for the Calgary Stampeders at receiver and running back kicks, a total of 6 touchdowns. Now, if you're a Stampeder, you go for the short kick.
3.5 minutes left. I'd still kick it deep. Your defense have been playing well. You get 2 and out with the Argo offense. You got plenty of time. And maybe on your next score, you think about the onside kick.
This Calgary team continues to hang in, giving up 21 points on turnovers, trailing by 10. With 3:37 to go in the 4th quarter, Livingston at his own 18-yard line gets to seam himself down the near sidelines, and then he's sealed off. That threatening return quickly quelled across the 45-yard line to about the 47.
Well, that gives him great field position there.
Damon Allen staying in the football game, as you mentioned. Now with the lead a little bit slimmer, Pinball Clemens reluctant to take the #1 signal caller out of the football game.
You can't afford to. It's a football game now. It's 3.5 minutes and only 10 points. They have to start moving the football, get some first downs, and take some time off this clock. Problem is they haven't established a running game, and we got Jeff Johnson and Randy Bowles in the backfield now. So we'll see.
Back, 2 big men in the backfield. Play action, screen pass to the near side. It's Jeff Johnson, and he's rocked across midfield by Alondra Johnson, just shy of the first down.
Jeff's a former Hamilton Tiger Cat I played with in Hamilton, and I'll tell you, this kid's got a lot of ability. He has speed and strength, and he's a good receiver out of the backfield. I thought potentially he's a starting running back in this league, so not too much of a drop of talent there.
So Johnson, the 4-year man out of York, with a big game. Argos on the move. More than 30,000 football fans at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, wondering if a comeback is in the offing for the Stampeders, down by 10 with 3 minutes to go in regulation time. Damon Allen, in his 19th season in the CFL, was telling us the other day that he spends a lot of time with his defensive teammates and the defensive coordinator to understand defenses. And he's been working the offense like a charm here this afternoon. Up the gut, nowhere going on that 2nd and 2 situation. Alondra Johnson penetrating and stopping that ball carrier right at the line of scrimmage, Jeff Johnson. And it'll be a 3rd down situation, 2 yards to go. Calgary forcing Toronto to punt.
Well, there's no understatement here. That's a huge stop for the Calgary defense. Now they get the ball back with just under 3 minutes left. And Scott's going to have to come out and do some magic offensively. But still, 2:42 is plenty of time. Like we said, they come down and need to get a field goal or a touchdown, and then they can go for the onside kick.
Prefontaine standing at his 40-yard line, letting the clock tick down, trying to use up that time. No timeouts left for Calgary because Federick had to use one up. That one nearly blocked. The line drive to the sidelines, and he gets it out of bounds at the 10-yard line. Charles Aspin ever so close to blocking that 45-yard punt from Noel Prefontaine.
Well, they almost blocked it, but Prefontaine did a great job of pinning him down just around the 10-yard line. That makes him go into a 100-yard drive. That's pretty tough to do.
Milanovic, 70% completions, but look at the number at the end of that row. 2 interceptions, 1 return, 42 yards by Orlando Steinauer for a touchdown. The other one killing a promising drive inside the red zone of the Argonauts.
Yeah, that one Orlando pick, that was a big killer because that goes back for a touchdown. The other one, they actually got the punt return right away back for the touchdown, so it didn't hurt them as much as the one to Steinhauer.
Bad field position again for Milanovic. In the shotgun at his own 5. Dropping back to the goal line. Carrying it out of the backfield. McCullough can't hold on. Incomplete. 2nd and 10, Calgary.
Well, they need to get the initial first down, obviously. When you start at your own 10, that's the most important thing, is get an initial first down. And this is a tough drop here, because even if you could pick up 5 yards, then you're in a position where you can pick up another 5 and get the first down. Now, I mean, they're actually 3 down. It's not 3 down territory, but it's 3 down situation because of the score.
2nd down and 10, ball on the Calgary 10. McCullough, the lone man back to block. Milanovic across the middle. It's complete, then dropped. They'll rule it incomplete. Don Blair had it for an instant, then had it drilled out of his hands by Ken Wheaton. And Wheaton appeared to be shaken up by the contact. So the Stampeders will have to punt.
Boy, Donnie's coming across the formation here. He looks wide open. He actually takes a little peek as he catches the ball, defender coming in to hit him. And unfortunately for Donnie, he put his helmet right on the football. You see Donnie looks wide open there. I think he wanted the quarterback to settle him down a little bit and not lead him into the defender. It's a tough one, but at this situation of the game, you'd like to see him hold on to that one.
Wheaton still down on the field after making contact to break up that pass to Don Blair. Blair looked like he had trouble adjusting the ball after making the catch as we take another look at the contact.
Yeah, you see he gets his helmet right in there on the football, but you're taking the full blow of a receiver coming across the field at full speed, and it may have affected his head or neck or maybe even his shoulder. But I think Donnie was really expecting the ball to be sitting down in that hole as opposed to leading him into the defender.
Well, Wheaton has an interception in this football game. He came in as the leading tackler for the Argos, the former Dallas Cowboy.
I don't know if that's a good sign when your defensive back is leading your team in tackles with 22.
Mike Pinball Clemens checking his ready list. And Wheaton still slow to get up from the turf. As we remind you that CFL on CBC moves to Ivor Wynn in Hamilton. Danny McManus and the Tiger Cats looking for their first win. They're 0-6. They've had a good rest, 5 days off before returning to the practice field. We'll have that game, the Ticats and the Blue Bombers, at 6:30 Eastern next Saturday night. What do you make of your former team?
Oh, well, my good friend Danny McManus looking for their first win. I think they may be catching Winnipeg at a good time. Winnipeg's coming off 2 losses. They have a game Tuesday night. We'll see how that goes, but they have that tight schedule. They'll get them again on Saturday, so could be a good chance to get their first win next Saturday.
Yes, the Bombers going back to Montreal in a short week before they get to Hamilton. And a lot of pressure on Danny Mack, Ron Lancaster, and crew to get in the win column in Hamilton. 2:08 to go. No timeouts left, but Calgary will punt the ball away. Deep in their own zone. O'Mani with a beautiful spiraling punt to the sideline and out of bounds. So a terrific punt, and they'll mark it at about the 45-yard line. Now the official moving to the 47.
Well, it's a great punt for a couple reasons. One, he banged it such a long way. Secondly, is that you kick it out of bounds and you keep time from running off the clock. If you kick it to the returner, he runs around for a little bit. You're going to take off another 10 to 15 seconds, so that's a great punt.
53 yards through the air as Damon Allen comes back in at quarterback for the Argos, as Pinball Clemens is content to have his #1 man go the distance. The Argos will scrimmage 1st and 10 at their own 47-yard line. 2:01 left to go in regulation time. Lots of time. This time he'll call his own number. Quarterback draw, tries to get outside, and George White wraps him up right at the line of scrimmage.
It's a good play call. Again, they're spreading everyone out and trying to utilize Damon's feet and legs and his ability to run. But they're still in a position where if they go 2 and out, Calgary has a chance to come back into the football game, only down by 10.
So this bend not break Calgary defense now having to stop the Argos in their tracks here. His time is running, 1:42 and counting. 2nd and 8. Argos. 5 receiver set. Damon Allen tipped, incomplete, intended for Lau Knight.
Well, the incompleted pass was should stop the clock, as I see the clock keep ticking away, but I thought with an incompleted pass it should stop, and we just saw about 6 seconds tick off the clock, so I wouldn't be too happy if I was a Stampeder coach right now.
Like Demetrius Maxey getting his hand up to knock that intended pass to Lau Knight out of the way. And they're going to reset the clock, as you have sharply noted, Darren Flutie.
That's what I'm here for, Mark.
10 more seconds on the clock. The eagle eye. So 1:34 in regulation time. Time running out on Wayne McGarity and the Calgary Stampeders. Here comes Sanchez up the A gap looking for the block. And Prefontaine is quick to get it away. McGarity at his own 14-yard line. Cuts upfield. He's pulled down. Chris Hardy, the first man downfield for the Toronto Argonauts. And once again, the Stampeders mired deep in their own zone. 4-yard return.
Chris Hardy, another University of Manitoba product, is a factory, football factory right there. Another low line drive punt, but because Calgary was trying to put the pressure on and get the block, there was no real return set up for McGarity.
Well, that cover team had already been burned. 60 yards for a touchdown by McGarity. This time they stopped him for a 4-yard return. Stampeders in desperation now. First down at their own 18-yard line. Scott Milanovic, last week he was number 3, this week number 2, and now thrust into the starting position with the injury to Kevin Federick. Lots of time in the pocket, gets the ball away with authority, and is complete and nearly intercepted. Lotario Rochelle hanging on to the ball.
It's Adrian almost jumping in front to get that interception, just missed it. But they're really in the hurry-up mode, though. It's just no huddle. This has got to be tough for a guy that was a third-string quarterback last week.
Rochelle into the game for the injured Albert Connell. The first down stopping the clock at 1:18. Now play whistled in. Not only is Milanovic having to go with a green playbook, he's got to run the hurry up in the CFL for the first time. Low snap, gets it away. It's intercepted again. Clifford Ivory, the ball hawk, drops the ball now at the 10. The Argos recover. Marvin Thomas is quick to pick up the loose ball as Clifford Ivory makes his 3rd interception and was looking for his 5th touchdown of the season.
He just seems to be waiting and waiting. He was eyeing this one the whole way. And I'm telling you, he is a playmaker back there. I thought he was going to take this one into the end zone for his, what would that be, his 5th touchdown of the season. But a nice play by McDonald to knock the ball out. That's all you can do. But that pretty much seals the deal. And it's unfortunate. I mean, Scott was really thrust into this situation with the injury. Yeah, look at all those turnovers. That's how you win football games in this league. 13 interceptions.
A league-leading 13 interceptions. By contrast, the Stampeders with 3 coming into this football game. Clifford Ivory could sniff the end zone, but he was ragdolled by McDonald. Michael Bishop into the game now, handing off to Jeff Johnson, and he is tackled immediately by George White at the line of scrimmage. Gain of about a half a yard on the play. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 8-yard line. Michael Bishop getting some reps here. He came in earlier in the game for one play, a 55-yard pass to Bashir Livingston, a trick play the Argos threw that worked. Now Damon Allen signing autographs after a good day's work. He's getting Pinball's autograph. I don't know. It looked like he's asking Pinball for a signature. You got one today. 2nd and goal. Bishop in the shotgun. He's going to go to the end zone with a bullet, and it's incomplete. Intended for Lau Knight, but the Stampeders were all over him. William Fields breaking it up.
A little surprised the Argos threw the ball here in this situation. I mean, I'm ever the optimist. An interception that goes all the way back for a touchdown, you get the onside kick. You never know. I would just kneel on the football kick your field goal and kick the football off, and the game's over.
You got a young quarterback here full of adrenaline, though, that wants to make something happen.
Well, take the adrenaline out of him, because let's get the win and move on.
It's 3rd and 10. Argos, and Bishop wants the end zone again, throwing deep into the corner. Touchdown, Tony Miles. And so some salt into the wounds.
As I was saying, Mark, I would definitely go for the touchdown when you're down near the 10-yard. Boy, do I always seem to be wrong with the things I say, but...
You have your finger on the pulse of this Argo offense, my friend.
That's a confidence booster for Michael Bishop. It's a great throw, and Tony Miles, he's probably getting man-to-man coverage down here. A nice pump fake to the right side, and you get Tony one-on-one. That's a pretty good matchup. Tony Miles versus Pryor, and I'd take that. It's a nice throw.
Tony Miles with his 2nd touchdown catch of the season, and look at the turnover disaster here for the Stampeders. 28 points, 4 touchdowns off Calgary turnovers. Prefontaine with the point after. Michael Bishop will hold on to the football, his first passing touchdown of the season, to the speedy former Tiger Cat Tony Miles.
Well, it's funny, both of these football teams come into the football game 2-3, but Calgary's 2-3, and they're in last place in the West. Toronto's 2-3, and they're in 2nd place in the East, and they're about to be 3-3, a step closer to Montreal.
The Argos 3 losses by a total of 7 points.
Yeah, they could easily be 4-2 or 5-1. Again, another look at the touchdown. Tony just beat him off the line of scrimmage and created separation, and Michael Bishop threw a nice ball in there.
I'll tell you what, in the times I've seen Michael Bishop in the games in preseason and now in regular season, he's looked much more confident, much more decisive as a quarterback than he was a year ago, and he's got great athletic tools.
I really think he's eventually the #2 guy in the Toronto Argonauts offensive scheme. I mean, of course you want Damon out there. Damon's played so well, but I think Bishop is the guy they're going to bring along.
Well, they moved him up to #2 ahead of Marcus Brady for this football game. Brady, of course, getting the start 1 week ago in place of the injured Damon Allen. The Argos struggling in offense, although Brady had 2 touchdown passes to Lyle Knight.
Yeah, well, what they end up last week was 6 first downs, so they didn't really move the football all that well.
Brady completed only 38% of his passes against the Bomber defense. This kick squibbed along the field. It's Rochelle with a burst of speed around the 45 to the 50, breaking a tackle on Adrian Smith, and finally wrestled out of bounds just shy of center field with 20 seconds left to go. So some of the backups trying to sport their stride in this football game in the late going. It's all academic for Milanovic, but he'll get some more reps under fire in the quarterback position. You've got to wonder what happens next week. Saskatchewan visiting Calgary. They're red hot in a tie for first place after that big victory over Edmonton last night. And Calgary now with a quarterback problem. They're 1 and 2 guys quite possibly not available next week if Federic has to remain out with the head injury. We're not sure how severe that is.
Calgary in a situation where they need a quarterback. Saskatchewan in a situation where they have a couple extra quarterbacks.
Might they make a trade?
That could be very interesting.
Milanovic airs it out high again and incomplete off the fingertips of Saladin McCullough.
You know, that's a great place for the general managers to get together and start talking trades too when you play each other. I mean, they happen to be coming off a couple injuries, and you're going to get together this week. Yeah. Who knows what could happen?
Keith Smith's available too. Released by Edmonton. So there are some quarterbacks out there. There is some help if in fact the Stampeders need to go and find somebody else. 15 seconds left on the scoreboard. Most of the fans have left McMahon Stadium as Milanovic will scrimmage 2nd and 10 at his own 54. Argos dropping 9. Ball complete to Darnell McDonald. And a Calgary first down, stopping the clock with 10 seconds to go. I would think this is the point where Milanovic wants to build some of his own personal confidence after throwing 3 interceptions in relief here in the second half.
Yeah, sure. Just run your basic offense. Nothing beats live bullets coming at you, and that's what you're in. You're in a situation where it's a real football game. You're not in practice. So this all counts, and might as well run your offense and get comfortable with it.
That was the 8th catch of the football game for McDonald. He had 11 1 week ago. Continues to be a real bright spot for the Calgary offense. There he is again with his 9 catch, breaking a tackle fighting across the 25. The Argos in that soft prevent defense as
I think he just got to 100.
Ticks to 0. That will be the final play of this football game. The Calgary Stampeders giving up 28 points on turnovers as Jim Barker's football team falls to 2-3. Mike Pinball Clemens and the Argonauts evening their record to 3-3 in second place in the East Division.
Well, I just have to think that Calgary's in a situation where they're pretty desperate for a quarterback. You'd hate to throw Scott into the fire next week against Saskatchewan, but definitely they have to assess the injury to Kevin, see how severe that is. Maybe he's in a situation where he could come back next week, but we'll never know.
Pinball Clemens keeping the focus of the football team with all their financial troubles in the news. The Argonauts keep their minds on football today in a 41-24 victory as we go down to Michelle.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Damon Allen with us. Damon, first of all, how's the state of your hand? How did it hold up?
Well, actually, it held up quite well. I was able to, you know, that's a good thing about really, you know, a little adrenaline flowing. And I was able to take a few T3s, but I needed to eat along with all that. But it worked out, and I felt pleased, you know, the way I came out and played, really.
Just how important is this win, Damon, at this time for the Argos with everything that's going around the team?
It's very important, I think, because that's the thing that we can control as football players. We really can't control what's going on the off the field, but as a football team, if we just concentrate on our jobs, take one game at a time, and win ball games, you know, we're going to put our team in a situation that we can compete for a championship.
Now, you seem to be planning to throw a lot of passes tonight. You lined up a lot of receivers. Is that the game plan going in?
Well, we've been trying to find a way to move the ball with our running game, but so far we're quite confident with our passing game and what we can do offensively, and you know, I'm pleased with that because the bottom line is we came out with a victory, and you know, that's what we set out to do when we came to Calgary.
Damon Allen, thanks very much.
Thank you. Hey, can I say something to my people back in BC? I'm on the West Coast. I just want to say hello to my girls and my wife and my grandson and all those good things, but all my friends in BC.
And Dad seems to be healthy too.
That's right.
Thanks a lot. We're going back to Brian.
Real CBC, baby.
Thank you, Michelle. Damon Allen, along with his defense, certainly the stars of this game. The Argonauts move to 3-3, and the Calgary Stampeders fall to 2-4. Sean and Greg with the highlights right after this.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Rogers AT&T Wireless. Imagine getting more from your phone.
Back in Calgary, where the Argonauts have defeated the Calgary Stampeders by a score of 41-24. I said the stars of the game were the quarterback, Damon Allen, and that Toronto defense. And speaking of the Toronto defense, let's join Michelle Godbout and one of the stars of that Toronto defense.
Orlando Steinhauer now with us. Orlando, 2 interceptions tonight. I mean, what's the D's secret?
There is no secret. We just try to play hard, and our backs are against the wall. We felt we dug ourselves in the hole with the record that we have, and we just try to have no excuses, no regrets. And it was important for us to come out here and not only play well, but come up with 2 points, and we did that tonight.
Now, you knew going in that there was a quarterback shuffle going on with Calgary. What was your strategy?
Basically, just give him different looks, not ever let him feel comfortable in the pocket. And, you know, he's a tough kid. He's out there making plays, but just fortunately we made more plays tonight, and that's what it's about. So we're fortunate to come out with the win.
Orlando Steinhauer, thanks a lot.
Hey, can I just say what's up to everybody, friends, family? I love you back in Seattle, and all my boys, peace out. Yeah.
It's an evening of messages here in Calgary. Back to you, Brian.
All right, Michelle, it is indeed. Let's take a look, as promised, at some of the highlights. And Sean Millington, let's begin with the play in the first half. I mentioned one of the stars of the game, Damon Allen, and I think this really exemplified the way he played tonight.
Well, exactly. I think Damon, this really shows his veteran status in this game. I mean, he's coming out here. We're going to see it in a minute. He looks for Hunton. He doesn't exactly have him right away, so he sits there in the pocket. He waits. Now he rolls out to buy himself some time for the pressure, finds him wide open in the corner, it's a touchdown. This is what Damon Allen is all about.
Touchdown to James Hunden in the first half. Let's go to the second half. We go to the third quarter, and we see a combination of Steinhauer first and then eventually Damon Allen again.
Yeah,
You take it, Greg.
You know what, like was mentioned, is that 28 points off of turnovers situation. This is the first of 2 interceptions that Steinhauer had. Now they have 13 interceptions as a secondary for the season right now, and that leads the league in interceptions. And so we don't have the clip right now, but what it was Steinhauer ended up making a nice play on the ball. We saw the clip a little bit earlier when he was just before he was interviewed, and ended up same thing that Sean was talking about. Oh, here we are. And then all of a sudden we got Damon coming here, and he's using his legs again. It's amazing. This guy's going to turn 40 on Tuesday next week, and he's running around like he's one of the 20-year-olds out on the field. He's making a lot of 20-year-olds look pretty silly out there. And then the touchdown. Humphries didn't do a lot on the ground, but got him into the end zone, and it's 28 points on turnovers. That's a big difference in this game.
Very quickly, because we've got to get to play the game.
Okay, actually, that's where I was going to go. So
all right,
you set us up.
Let's go to the Subway play of the game, and Sean Millington will describe it. And again, who else but Orlando
Steinhauer. I mean, this is the man of the hour. He's been doing everything all over the field for these guys, and here we go again. Orlando Steinhauer reads the play perfectly, picks off the ball. Milanovic throws, shouldn't have thrown that ball, and Orlando makes him pay. Puts the game out of reach with this touchdown, pads the Toronto lead, and just gives them that little extra edge for them to sit on for the rest of the game.
Yeah, at that point it was 34-17, and the game really out of reach on the interception, the touchdown by Steinhauer. Now, with a game out of reach, a great punt return for a touchdown by the Calgary special teams.
And it kind of made it exciting, it's like the momentum was swinging back and forth. There's a situation where McGarity, almost a partially blocked punt here, got a piece of it. Then all of a sudden McGarry's showing just a burst of speed. He's patient. Then all of a sudden he sees the hole, sees the daylight, and he just takes off. I mean, you see the separation, sees the end zone, and I tell you what, this is an exciting player in this league, and as a very we're going crazy in the booth here.
Yeah, I could say, and this is a perfect example of Calgary's inconsistency. In one play you have them going up, doing something really good. McGarry's touchdown, another play, they have them doing something silly.
Now, we've had the Subway play of the game. This is our play of the game. They wouldn't make it Subway play of the game, but we want to see it again. Here's the Maxey play, Demetrius Maxey, last play of the first half. You guys take it.
Well, a situation where, again, we were worried about Damon's hands, but get it in the big boy's hands.
Okay, here he goes.
Look at the move.
Look at the move.
It's a little shake and bake. Get in the end zone.
Come on, Maxey, put your shoulder down. Good.
I tell you what, you got to like to see that.
Listen, we got about 15, 20 seconds. The Calgary quarterbacking situation was a mess prior to this game. Crandall was hurt. Now Federer's hurt. Milanovic wasn't impressive.
It's still a mess.
It's still a mess. Where do they go from here?
Well, you know what? You got to see. It's a mash unit out there. You got to see whether or not Kevin is able to see straight after this game, and then all of a sudden you got Marcus's hamstring, and then Milanovic is up in the air. I don't know what they're going to do.
Milanovic is going to come through. He's going to go back, review the films, see the mistakes he made, and come back stronger next week.
He showed a lot of confidence in the pocket. You could see it in his eyes. He's comfortable back there.
A lot of mistakes tonight by the Calgary Stampeders. Some great play by the Toronto defense. 28 points coming off turnovers. As the Toronto Argonauts, they can't pay their bills, but I'll tell you what, they can play football. Back live in Calgary right after this. Well, that about wraps it up tonight from here in Calgary, where the Argonauts win big to go 3-3. Stampeders